It's time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake! Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again. This will be settled right at the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to round number 9 of the PSGL F1 season. We've arrived at Zandvoort, round number 9 of the season. We're getting towards the business end of this championship, and we are here in Zandvoort. Should be a cracker in the Netherlands. I'm Ginger Andy. Joining me again tonight, we've got Dan Field for this one. Dan, exciting stuff ahead as we head to this wonderful racetrack.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to Zandvoort. I'm really looking forward to seeing PSGL back on the road after a break week from what was a hellacious Belgian Grand Prix where Jarno Opmeer took his 4th win in a row. And then on home soil, he's going to look to make it 5 in a row this season. So really, he's the man on form and he's the one to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Coming to home soil, as you say, in fine form. 4 wins on the bounce. Could have been 5, of course, if everyone remembers back to the controversy of the French Grand Prix. Jarno Opmeer was not happy that he lost that victory due to a pit lane infringement. He then laid down a marker and said he is going to be trying his utmost to win this championship. And boy, oh boy, he has been on fire since. 4 straight victories in a row. He's been in ridiculous form. And let's see how it panned out last time then in the Belgian Grand Prix. It was Jarno Opmeer that won it in the end in a great battle with Simon Perregni, who really did shine in that race. Without doubt, one of his best performances in league racing, and he really did take it to Jarno Opmeer. A superb second place, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. He really did take the fight to Jarno Opmeer throughout the entirety of the Grand Prix, and he's really showing how he's got that talent. And of course, he's not old enough yet to go into the Challengers Series, but I guarantee the moment he turns 16, he's going to be fighting in that series for his spot in esports. And I'm really excited to see his journey starting in PSGL.
Yeah, fantastic to see him doing so well. Barry Boeneman 3rd, Jake Benham was 4th in Belgium, Danny Beresnay came home in 5th with Ruben Pedreño in 6th. Alvaro Carreton was in 7th. Nicholas Longue down in 8th position. He won't be happy with that. Luke Smith picked up a few points in 9th, and Thomas Ronhart rounded out the top 10. Now, what about those driver standings going into tonight? Jarno Opmeer, it took him a while to hit the top, but since he hit the top, he has quite simply not looked back. He has roared into a massive 28-point lead ahead of Barry Boeneman, and at this stage of the season, we're just beyond halfway, Dan. It's difficult to see how anyone's going to reel him in, especially in this kind of form.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looking unstoppable at the moment, and I don't think anyone is actually going to be challenging him. I would if I could change my prediction, but I've still got to go with Barry Boeneman. He is in 2nd at the minute, fending off Jake Benham in 3rd, but those Mercedes drivers, they're looking really competitive in 1 and 3 at the moment.
Yeah, Mercedes drivers looking very strong. Jake Benham, another one for the future, no doubt about that, and a few eyes on him. Shanaka Clay in 4th on 45 points. Of course, you see him in the Williams colours now. He was formerly of Aston Martin, but recently joined Williams Esports, and nice to see him in different colours. Strange to see him in different colours, it has to be said. Danny Beresnay on 34 points in 5th, Alvaro Carreton in 6th on 30. Wilson Hughes is next, your favourite Scotsman, Dan, of course. Nicholas Longue 8th, Simon Perregni 9th, after that strong showing last time out at Spa, and Luke Smith rounds out the top 10. We're still waiting to get going, folks, in case you're wondering. You're not missing anything. We're still in the lobby. So while we wait, let's just go through a few more things from the season. What about the calendar then? This is how it shapes up. Seems like a long time ago now where we started back in Portugal, doesn't it? Where Barry Boeneman took that opening race victory. And yeah, we've just went piling through the races. It's gone by in a flash, Dan. hasn't it? And we're now at the 30th of March after that 1 week break in for Belgium. And we've arrived at the Dutch Grand Prix. Jarno Opmeer, unbeaten since the 9th of February, where he lost that victory in France. Wins in Hungary, Austria, Saudi Arabia in incredible fashion in Saudi. He was so dominant there, and win in Belgium. What do you think his chances are tonight, Dan, of making it 5 victories in a row? It's certainly going to be hard to bet against him, especially that he's on home soil. He'll be looking to really please that home crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. Jan Otmar is in the form of his life at the minute, and I really don't see that stopping anytime soon. But that being said, I believe last season Jan Otmar at his home Grand Prix was actually the first time he ever finished the race in PSGL without being on the podium. So maybe it's a bit of a bad omen coming back here. Of course, Joni Tormela won that race in season 29, and that was actually my first time commentating the top flight. So maybe I was the bad omen. I could curse him again today. So that could be taking commentator's curse to a whole new level.
Yeah, it sure could, Dan. Hopefully that is not the case. If there's any Jarno Opmeer fans watching, I'm sure there is quite a few, no doubt about that. But just a quick headline tonight going into this, folks. You may have seen on the PSGL Twitter account that there will be dry conditions guaranteed tonight and for the rest of the season. The drivers had the option to vote. We've had that many wet races recently. The drivers and PSGL kind of felt it was just a little bit too much, the wet conditions. We had wet weather in Saudi Arabia, for goodness sake. It went to a vote and the drivers agreed that we should be racing the rest of the season in clear conditions. So, Dan, an interesting one, but the drivers on this occasion voting to go for dry conditions for the remainder of the season.
Really glad about that, if I'm honest with you, because I think we've had rain in every single race or qualifying session at some point. So I think it's good that we are going to get the dry conditions. And thank you, just quickly, to Evo F1 for the €1.99 donation of hope Jarno wins. I'm playing F1 as well. Good luck. So, of course, Jarno Opmeer fans getting all the love in the chat at the moment. So that is lovely to see from him. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. The lobby is just loading in now, folks. So before we do get going, let's have a quick look at this grid rival. Be sure to join our grid, folks. PremierSimGL.com/grid rival. Get yourselves involved. There's a cash prize for the winner of the league. Basically, it is grid rival. It is Predictor League, basically, for the F1 2022 season. Download the Grid Rival app, and they host, basically, PSGL are hosting on that app a league where you can predict for the Formula 1 season and pick your drivers. It's kind of like a fantasy, and pick your drivers for the season ahead and see how you get on. Well, let's see if you've picked any Ferrari drivers or Max Verstappen. I think you've done pretty well in the opening stages of the season, so if it was me, I'd be getting a few more of those drivers into my team before the Mercedes get any upgrades on the car. But enough of that for now, Dan. I think it's time that we jumped into the qualifying session, doesn't it? Because I think we're about to get underway. The cars are in the garage and Q1 is about to get underway in a few moments' time, and hopefully we will get some cars out on that racetrack nice and quickly as well here at Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix down by the seaside. Oh, this is a fantastic track. One I'd really like to go to, Dan, because you know, the Dutch support in real life last season when Max Verstappen was there winning, it just looked phenomenal. It looked like a football support, didn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really awesome to see how much passion the Dutch fans have for their homeboy Max Verstappen. And I imagine that there's going to be a lot of love for our Dutch drivers racing here today. We haven't got just Jarno Opmeer. I believe also Timon Shooter. Yeah, he's racing tonight. He might be the only other Dutchman on the grid. Thomas Ronhaar is actually racing as well tonight. So a lot of Dutch drivers for the fans to support, but of course they're not limited to those. They've got 19 drivers in total, all with an equal chance of winning this race. But the first man out on circuit at the minute, at least the furthest up on a set of the wet compound attire, winner here last season, Joni Tormela.
Yeah, so Joni Tormela goes well here, as you say, Dan. Winner last time out. Can he try and emulate that with another victory tonight? I wonder if he can. He won't be doing it on those wet tyres, though. And if you're new to the action here in PSGL, new to league racing, the reason these drivers do that is because they want to try and save a set of tyres for later on in the weekend, perhaps in qualifying, perhaps in the race. Give them extra sets so that the first run in qualifying more often than not done on a set of the inters or the wet tyres, and that is why the man who's won 4 races in a row is also doing that, Jarno Opmeer, out there on a set of intermediate tyres, and he will be desperate to try and make it 5 wins in a row. Ever since what happened in France, he really has laid down quite the marker and has been determined to just keep winning, and he'll be desperate to keep that run going for as long as he can, because he's in the form of his life at the minute, the best form I've seen him in PSGL for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the level has never been higher at this point, and it is great to see how he's risen to the occasion once again. He always does, never fails to succeed, and it is lovely to see we've got him in such fine form at the minute, but he's come back into the pit lane. I'd imagine these drivers not going to be spending too much time on these intermediate tyres or the wets, as in the case of Joni Tormala, but I do believe we actually have some flying laps coming out from Alessio De Capua on a set of the medium compounder tyre. It's going to get a little bit of a tow from Joni Tormala, who gets out of the way pretty nicely for the Italian in the Aston Martin, coming in towards, I believe this is Hans Erst corner to turns 11 and 12. Really tricky to get that perfectly correct, but Alessio De Capua has done really nicely through there. Up towards turn number 13 now, and off the exit he goes. Oh, a little bit of a slide. He caught the curb and unfortunately is invalidated on that run. Is he going to go again, or does he come back into the pits? I think he might go for another lap here.
Yeah, it looks like Alessio De Capua is just going to try and rattle a few laps onto the board as Joni Tormala goes quickest on the wet tyre. A 1:28.2. I think we'll be going a lot quicker than that. But let's just take a look at this Zandvoort track. New on the Formula 1 calendar last season in real life. And really quite an interesting circuit. There was a lot of concern that you wouldn't get much overtaking here around this racetrack. It was almost like Monaco without the barriers, a bit like the Hungaroring. But there was a fair bit of action in real life Formula 1 down into turn 1. And we get even more action in the world of esports and league racing into that first corner. So I think, Dan, there will be plenty of opportunities for the drivers to make a move into that first turn, and it's just all about picking your moments, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, you can even battle much further round the lap as well if it carries on through turns 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, absolutely. There is actually quite a lot of racing potential around this circuit if the drivers are able to keep it clean, and being PSGL the pinnacle of league racing, we're going to only see the best standards here tonight. Alvaro Carreton currently is on a lap in his Williams car. He's just coming through turn number 7 now. He's done a 24.5 through the first sector split. We'll see he'll just fly past Timon Shooter, who's racing in his home Grand Prix, up towards turn number 8. He's running it very wide and in towards the corner, using up all the circuit he can, and that includes touching the curbs. The inside curbs on turn number 10, not ideal, and he's avoided them very nicely on the DRS straight down in towards turn number 11 and 12. It's going to be difficult to overtake through here, but at the end of a DRS straight, don't be surprised if drivers send one up the inside or try and go around the outside. Alvaro Carreton. And now through the final sector he goes. Got a Ferrari just in front of him, who's going to give him a slight tow, I imagine, down the start-finish straight. I don't believe so. Up towards the line of Alvaro Carreton. He's got a 1 minute 10.3 to beat, and he does that quite clearly with a 1 minute 10.093. Impressive stuff from Alvaro on his medium tyres.
Yes, so Carreton then gets a nice early marker on the board on the medium, as you say, 1 minute 10.093 from him. So the indication then that a lot of drivers using the mediums suggest that they won't be using them in Q2, which means they won't be starting on them in the race, or they won't be trying the alternate strategy going by the fact that they're using the mediums now. So that's quite an interesting thing that we're seeing there. What about the pad man, Louis Welsh? He's out there at the minute, and I believe he's just started a flying lap. The man on the pad in the Haas, and again, we say it so often, and I'll say it again, it's fantastic to see someone like Louis Welsh on the pad able to compete at this level. It just goes to show that, you know, you don't have to have thousands of pounds worth of equipment to compete at this level. Just pick up a pad and push, 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 and who knows, maybe one day you could be in the eyes of an esports team just through your ability on a controller, racing it against the very top drivers. And that's what's great about F1 esports. We always speak about how expensive and how difficult it is to get into real life motorsport like Formula 1, but esports is different, Dan, and you can just pick up a pad and make your way in that way. And Jarno Opmeer is a fine example. I mean, cash was obviously a problem from his point of view when on the real side of racing, but of course here he is now plying his trade in esports, and you know, it's worked out brilliantly. He's signed for one of the best teams in Formula 1 in Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is lovely to see how things work out when esports brings everybody together. It really is the future as Louis Welch just crossed the line. He's put it in 5th position, just behind his Haas teammate, Philip Presneder. So that was a nice time from Louis. We'll see if he's able to carry that on into Q2. We've got some more runners on laps at the moment. There's Donoso, oh dear, the exit of turn number 1. He's caught the slide quite nicely there, but that's his time completely in the bin. So I believe he actually just joined late into the lobby, so it's good to see Donoso back racing once again. I believe Ron Haas just crossed the line to go into 2nd position, only actually doing 1/10 slower exactly than Barry Burman. That caught my eye a little bit there, but nice to see that he is very close to Barry. Thomas Ronhaar, of course, on home soil once again. We've got 3 drivers in their home Grand Prix, and Thomas Ronhaar certainly impressing the Dutch crowd today.
Yeah, he's looking very good, and that will really please the Dutch crowd, as you say. Simon Shoot across the line, and he also impresses the home crowd by going 9th. Going 2nd quickest, the 2nd man into the 1 minute 9. So 1 minute 9.996 for Simon Shooter. Shinaka Clay out there, but not on a particularly quick lap at the minute. Let's see who else might be on one. I don't think there is many. We saw Donoso have his moment, and that was quite a moment coming out of turn 1. So often you can see cars sliding massively and ending up in the barrier. I mean, just take what Mick Schumacher did in Saudi Arabia in real life a couple of days ago. A big slide on a curb and went straight into the barrier. Thankfully, he jumped out the car and he was absolutely okay as Donoso crossed the line. And it looks to me, Dan, like he's going to go for another lap, because obviously that 1:27.7 is not very representative. Can he keep it off the curb this time and keep it away from the wall? He can, and he now makes his way into the middle part of the lap. And I just love these banked corners. It just provides so much variation in lines and the way certain drivers take that corner, and it allows for wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side action as well, and that's what we love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's the point of driving Formula 1 cars if you don't want to go racing in them? And I think Zandvoort was tricky to fight side-by-side consistently, changing direction so much. It is lovely to see when drivers can actually have some wheel-to-wheel action. Donoso's going to get a little bit of a break from all the chopping and changing. He's got a nice little straight, but that's immediately going to sling him in to a right-handed corner of turn number 11, and then into the slow left of turn 12, keeping it hugged to the inside line up towards turn number 13. Now he is finding the time on this lap on his 1 minute 27. We'll see where he can go on his set of the medium compound of tyre, as up towards the line, hugging the right-hand side of the circuit. Donoso comes to the line, and well, he does improve, but it's only 10th fastest for him, and given that he's done that on the mediums, I think he'll want to come in, strap on a set of the softs, because I don't see him going into Q2 with that lap.
Yeah, that will not be a particularly good lap from him. So here is Danny Beresney then, out there now in the Ferrari, put on a great showing at the Hungaroring earlier on in the season, and he's now looking to show what more he's capable of as he's out there in that Ferrari at the moment, sweeping down the hill. Ferrari back to their best in real life Formula 1. Fantastic to see them back at the front of the action. Hopefully Mercedes can join that battle pretty soon as well, and it could be an all-time classic season. It might be anyway, with the likes of Leclerc and Verstappen, 2 young guns going for that title. But anyway, what about this esports world? Danny Beresney, no slouch at all, one of the fastest out there, and as Carter Lundy's gone quickest of all on a 1:9.7. Good effort there from him, 2/10 quicker than Barry Burman, although I think most of these times have been set on the medium compound, and there's the proof of that now. Carter Lundy, the first man to set a proper time on the softs, but Danny Beresney about to follow that up though, so let's see how Carter's time lines up against that of Danny Beresney. So here comes Beresney out of the final corner, up to the line now, and he goes quickest by a 10th of a second, 10th and a half, 1 minute 9.617 as Joni Tormala slots in to 3rd place in behind.
Yeah, Beresney could be yet beaten by Jan Ortmeier, going to the line with a 1 minute 9.577. We haven't seen him much in this qualifying session. Alvaro Carreton is about to come across the line now. We'll see what he can do, and he goes to the top. What about Barry Burman, I think, is coming into the final sector now, and I believe he is on a time quick enough to triumph everyone. Rumpedreño goes ahead of Ortmeier into 2nd, but what about his fellow teammate, the Iranian ace of Barry Burman, to the line, and it's going to be a 109.4 flat. That was an impressive time from Barry Burman to go a tenth and a bit clear of anyone else on the grid at the minute. And I'd say the Iranian driver is going to be pleased about that one.
Yeah, great time there from Barry Burman. Both McLarens shooting up towards the front. Here comes Jake Benham now, up to the line. And what can he do in the other Mercedes? He can go third, so Mercedes third and fifth. Benham ahead of Otmere at this stage of the session. So good effort there from him. What about the other Red Bull? Or is it Carter Lundy? No, he's coming into the pits, so he's not on a hot lap. What about Simon Shooter? He's out there starting a hot lap at the minute as well. He's early on in the lap, and he's one of the drivers out there now on the soft tyre, yet to do a lap on the softs. He's the quickest of the drivers who have not done one on the softs yet, as you can see on the timing screen on the left hand side. So what can Simon Shooter deliver? Can he shoot up towards the front of the order? I think we might go up towards Shinaka Clay though. Before that, he's in the final corner. Is he on a particularly quick lap? No, he's not. I thought he might have been. He isn't, and we will now shuffle back to where we were before, which is Simon Shooter, who is currently P12, but he's going nearly 3/10 quicker through that middle sector on what he's previously done. So at the minute, he should be shooting up the order into a pretty competitive position. Patrick Saipos has gone up into 4th place in the order as Simon Shooter drops all the way to 14th now, and he needs the time more than ever with 5 minutes to go in the session. Shooter takes the shortest route to the line, crosses it, goes P7, 1 minute 9.583, an identical time to his fellow countryman Thomas Ronhart. How close is that? Well, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that Philip Presneder's just found himself in 11th, the bottom 5 now taking shape. Yoni Tormala, Shanaka Clay, Jack West, Donoso, and Will Lewis, who's, I believe, crashed out at some point on the circuit. I can tell you now, Andy, Jan Otmere is doing 2 runs at the moment, and he's a 10th up on his previous best. He could be challenging Barry Burman here. He's just coming through the final sector now, up towards turn number 13. The Flying Dutchman on home soil, our championship leader, looking for his 5th win in a row. We'll see what he can do as he comes out of the final corner. A 10th up on his previous best. Shanaka Clay goes into 2nd position, but what about Otmere to the line? Immediately triumphing Clay there by about 600ths of a second, so very close margins, but Barry Burman still uncontested at the top of the order, and what a top 3 that is. Burman, Otmere and Clay, drivers that have been so competitive so far this season, and now they could find themselves in a similar position at the end of Q3, and I'd love to see these 3 actually have a proper fight throughout this season.
Yeah, a bit of a scrappy first lap for Shanaka Clay, but he's got it all together this time round. And within a 10th of a second of Barry Burman, both he and Jarno Otmere. Caraton not far away either. Donoso really struggling out there in the Alpine at the minute though. 2/10 down on his previous best, not at all. Hooking this lap up for Alpine, and he's in the bottom 5, and he really does need to get a time on the board. Is he going to complete this lap, or is he going to come into the pits? By the looks of it, he is going to come into the pits. So Donoso bails out of that lap. And Donoso, who's been struggling to get back on the pace the last few weeks, but you've got to say, it's understandable. He's been out of league racing, he's taken a break for a little while. He was back in his homeland over in Chile, presumably visiting friends and family and taking a little bit of time out. So unsurprisingly, taking him a bit of time to get back up to speed, but I'm pretty sure he'll get back up to speed in absolutely no time. A very, very quick driver is the Alpine man as he gets wheeled back into the pits. We've got a few drivers then on outlaps. I believe Jarno Otmere is just coming back into the pits now. We've got a few though out on outlaps, and we've got quite an interesting bottom 5 then, with the final runs incoming. Dario Yumilo, Yoni Tormala, who won here last year, Jack West, Fabrizio Donoso, and Will Lewis, who's retired from this Q1 session. What will be the target time to get into Q2? Let us know in the comment sections below, folks, who you think and what time it will be to get into the next part of qualifying. Dan, what are you saying? What will the cut-off be?
The cut-off, I think, is going to be... I'm not saying it's going to improve too much from this point. This is a pretty quick and short circuit, so I'd say it's going to be about a 109.7. That's going to be the cut-off point. Whereabouts Carter Lundy is, maybe a little bit higher than that. I could see the likes of Takapua, Presneder, Haddad, those guys who haven't set the best of times at the minute. You know, if we see some surprises, they could be into the next part of qualifying. But at the minute, all we know is that Yoni Tormala's 109.917 is not good enough. in the 51 Alpha Tauri, the Finnish driver, now coming into the first sector where he's going to go through the fast and flying right, left. He's got Presnader in the way as well as the Capo. He's just about avoided them. They got out of the way very nicely. And how about that for a first sector improvement? Almost 0.2 of a second, which would instantly climb him out of the drop zone. So Joni Tormala on fine form at the minute as he comes in towards the second sector through turn 9 and up towards turn 10. He's going to possibly pick up a slight slipstream from the McLaren, and oh dear, a bad exit for Joni Tormala. Sees him unfortunately into the gravel, keeping it out of the wall, but what was looking like an impressive time goes awry from him, and that's going to annoy him, I'd say.
Yeah, that's concern for Joni Tormala, the winner last time out in a bit of trouble. Jack West, meanwhile, needs improvement, and he's finding it, although that is a big mistake into the braking zone for that chicane. He was 0.3 up, and he's chucked it away, so that's a big mistake from him. Who else is in the bottom 5 that needs to improve? Dario Yumulo is one of them, and he's on a lap now, so Tormala in trouble, West in trouble, Yumulo needs to improve. What is the cut-off time going to be? Dan thinks maybe a 1:9.7. There is certainly around a 10th and a half between Lundy and Haddad, so maybe a time in between that would be enough to get you through, as Thomas Ronhar has gone quickest of all on a 109.373, but that is not our focus at the minute. That's for Q3. Let's focus on the bottom placings here in qualifying. Here is Dario Yumulo, the Italian, looking to get himself into the next part of qualifying in that Scarlet Ferrari. Coming to the end of that second sector, look to the top right, and he is improving, and at the minute it looks like it's going to be around that 1:9.7 that Dan was speaking about. Can he make it a little bit safer and go even quicker in the final sector? Yumulo then, this would knock Louis Welsh into a little bit of bother here. Yumulo taking the shortest run to the line. Can he get into Q2? He goes P14. He does get a 0.6 on the board. Will that be enough though? Donoso is behind him, but he has invalidated and he's ruined the lap. Carter Lundy needs an improvement, and he's on one at the minute as well, Dan.
Carter Lundy coming through the final 2 corners now. He's finding just about 2.5 tenths on his previous best, so looking very nice and tidy. If he can continue this form, he'll see himself right into the next session of qualifying as Carter Lundy to the line in his F1 debut, and he goes into P10 there. That's going to safely see him into the next session of qualifying. What about Louis Welch? Actually, Joni Tormala's coming up to the line. Jack West eliminated. Joni Tormala sees himself into 14th, knocking out Yumulo to knock out De Capua now. Oh dear, Louis Welch has invalidated his lap. He's going to complete it anyways to see what it would have been. It would have been a 0.72, and that wouldn't have been enough to get him into the next session of qualifying. So that's going to be a little bit of I suppose consolation to him, but 18th position to someone who finished on the podium last time we came to Zandvoort last season. It's going to be a bit of a downer for him to be eliminated in Q1.
Yeah, a real downer then, as Donoso out too then. He didn't quite get a lap together on the soft tyre, and it shows he was 4 tenths down on Louis Welsh, who also will be frustrated not to be through. But there is your bottom 5. In the end, it was a 0.6 that you needed, and it was a low 0.6 you needed, because Dario Yumulo with a 109.675 bows out in qualifying 1. He's joined by Jack West, Louis Welsh, Donoso, and Will Lewis, who we think had an incident out there on the racetrack. But the man on top in Q1 was Jake Benham. He was safely through to the next part of qualifying, and the Mercedes man in fine form. Disappointment though for Donoso, but perhaps not too surprising as he looks to get back up to speed. But there is the order from the opening part of this qualifying session. Jake Benham is P1 with a 109.351. Thomas Ronhar second, just a fraction behind him on his home soil. Barry Bureman was next with Ruben Pedreño in 4th. 2 runs for Jarno Watmir, and the second run was enough to see him through in 5th. Patrick Saipos returns, and the Hungarian driver goes 6th. Haddad is 7th. It is 8th for Shinaka Clay, joined by his teammate Caraton in 9th. Presnader was 10th. Carter Lundy through in 11th. Simon Shooter through 12th. 13th, Danny Beresney, Joni Tormala 14th, and Alessio De Capua also through. Out goes his Italian counterpart Dario Yumulo, Jack West, Louis Welsh, Donoso, and Will Lewis, all out at this stage of qualifying. So then, disappointment for Donoso, disappointment for Louis Welsh as well, and Dario Yumulo too, Dan. But some disappointment in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys not going to be too pleased about being eliminated early on in qualifying. I'm especially surprised by Donoso being out, and he didn't even get a soft lap in. You know, he was just not on form today, and he's starting 19th, of course, last of all the drivers that actually put a lap time in. So he's just got to recuperate, come back for the race. Of course, joining late also didn't help his cause. You know, he had less time out on circuit than some of the others, and maybe he's not had as much practice. So yeah, he's just got to come back for the race, hopefully be in better condition, and we can hopefully see some fine overtaking from the Chilean driver.
Yeah, hopefully we will see some good overtaking from him. He's certainly one of the best out there. Very, very strong driver, no doubt about it. Let's see what he can do, Dan. But going into Q2, quite a few drivers looking pretty strong going into this session. We've not seen the Jarno Altmaier that we've seen in recent rounds. You know, if I remember back to Saudi in particular, bang, first lap, P1, nobody got near it. Bang, next lap, P1, nobody got near it. This looks like it could be quite competitive, quite a short circuit, and he might be under a little pressure to make it 5 in a row. We can't obviously rule him out. He's obviously one of the best out there. But certainly looks like there's a few drivers that might contend that. Barry Burman looks strong. Jake Benham, really strong as well. Caraton, Clay, Ron Har, several drivers looking very strong, Dan.
Yeah, and I think a bit of competition for Jarno Altmaier is healthy for the league. You know, we don't want to see him romping away every single race, even though it is very enjoyable to see how fast and how competitive and just how dominant he can actually be. But it is really good to see that there are drivers capable of fighting with him. So it is obviously great to see, and we'll hopefully get some of that into the race. But of course, it's only Q1. You know, we can't really dictate the pace this early on. In Q2, certainly that's where we're going to get to see some flashes of glory. And speaking of Q2, it's just getting underway now.
Yes, it is. So let's jump into it then. It's just into the opening few seconds here in qualifying 2. The drivers out there on their outlaps, and as you can see, everyone going for the soft tyres, as we suspected, because everyone was using the mediums up in Q1. Doesn't look like they're too much of a fan of the alternate strategy around this circuit. We'll have to wait and see. There's certainly no rain going to be made tonight. If you've just joined us, folks, there will be no more rain for the remainder of the PSGL season. The drivers were given the option to vote on whether they wanted dry or dynamic conditions for the remainder of the season, and the drivers voted in favour of dry conditions. So we will have dry races here in PSGL to the end of the season as the drivers start their opening laps here in qualifying 2, and the both Williams drivers were out there nice and early. Alvaro Canaton and Shinaka Clay, two very evenly matched drivers. Looking forward to see how these two shape up over the remainder of the season, Dan.
Yep, Shinaka Clay leading the way in at the minute with the black T-cam. So he's the number 1 driver at the minute. I wonder how Alvaro Caraton would like that. But in towards the first sector for Shinaka Clay, of course, it is going to be purple. It's going to be a 24.3. We'll see how that stacks up to the rest of the grid as they continue on their run. Shinaka Clay not as secure into Q2 as he would have liked, I'd imagine. Of course, was pretty far down for quite some time. Then he did manage to find a good lap and see himself pretty high up the order, but the fact that he wasn't there as early as he would have liked maybe is some signs for concern. But all he knows is that he's got 2 more sectors for the rest of this lap, make that 1 sector, because he's just crossed into the final part of the circuit. Turn number 13 up next for the Williams driver, and then the banked final corner of turn 14, which is always fun to drive. You've got to hold your breath a little bit through there, but up towards the line, Shinaka Clay, we'll see what his initial time is. It's a 9.7. Alvaro Caraton immediately going to top that with a 109.5, and Danny Berejny splitting the Williams. So the first laps coming out at the minute, the Iranian ace Barry Burman goes to the top of the order as Jarno Altmaier can find himself into 3rd. Rune Pedreño is next to come to the line. He goes into 6th place, and we got Thomas Ronhar in 4th. We got the Rebel of Cartalundi down in 8th, and then Timon Shooter coming up to the line with a 109.6. So the first 9 laps coming out initially, and it's Barry Burman leading the way.
Yeah, Barry Burman leading the way at this stage of the session. We know he's such a very, very, very fast qualifier, arguably the fastest qualifier in the game. Jarno Altmaier, just the all-rounder, though. We've seen so much this season as the full package, and probably showing by the championship standings, just too strong overall so far over the season. But Burman showing in qualifying just how strong he is. He's been absolutely excellent throughout the season. Here is Philip Presneder crossing the line. I'm just going to explain to some of the viewers who are asking a few questions in a few moments' time, but there's the reasoning for the vote was, I think the drivers were just getting a little bit too fed up with wet races. We were getting too many wet races. There's nothing wrong with 1 or 2 wet races a season, but when we get wet qualifying, wet races almost every week, it's not very realistic, and especially when we start getting wet conditions in Saudi Arabia. So there's a few of you guys asking in the comment section why there was a vote. I believe that is the reason why. The drivers just getting a bit fed up with constant wet races, and that was the reason for it, folks. So don't know if you guys agree with it or disagree with it, but that's what they've opted to do, and that is why we're not going to have any more wet races. But I think, to be fair, Dan, we've had plenty of wet races this season already, haven't we?
Yeah, we had a wet race in Jeddah, which was very, very concerning. I mean, it's not impossible. It rains, what, 5 days a year there? So, I mean, it was certainly possible, but, the chances were minuscule, and it was raining throughout the entire race. So, highly unlikely scenarios taking place in PSGL, but luckily that's been eliminated for a bit. We don't need to see the rain, and I think also dry races do tend to make for better Grand Prix. As Philip Presnader, he's just crossed the line to go into 7th position. He'd already set a lap, but it was 9 seconds slower than what he was on currently, so I guess he just needed the time to be put on the board. 9 minutes to go left in this qualifying session. Every driver's in the pits, and as I say that, Shanaka Clay coming out on circuit. He was the first man to set a time in Q2, and now he's going to go for another opportunity with a little bit of clear air. I'd imagine Presnader's going to decide to come into the pits at the end of his in lap, and then Shanaka Clay going to have the entire track to himself. Then the Flying Dutchman Jan Otmir is behind him on circuit, but he's waiting at the banking of turn number 3. He's just going to let all the other drivers in front of him by, as I'd imagine you don't want to have too many guys behind you, just hounding your rear throughout the entire thing. So it's good to see he's just getting out of the way, letting everyone go through, not causing any problems. But Shanaka Clay, he's going to be the first man to put us on our second runs in Q2.
Yeah, Shanaka Clay then going for his second runs. Geotherm's just asking, he's just saying you can understand the annoyance if you practice a lot and then it rains. Well, just imagine practicing so much and then doing Jeddah. I mean, I don't think anybody would have practiced any wet conditions at all at any point in the entire game around Jeddah. Perhaps maybe only to try and get a world record on time trial in the wet conditions. I can't imagine any other time where you would race in the wet in Jeddah. So yeah, I also share your point of view with the driver's annoyance, because who is going to practice Jeddah in the wet conditions? It's crazy. But anyway, here is Shanaka Clay out there on the racetrack then, pushing hard in that Williams racing car, and look how much he's pushing there into turn number 3, flung the car into the corner, now sweeping up the hill and then downhill, back uphill, then back downhill again. It's like a roller coaster ride here on the sands here in the Netherlands, on the beaches of Zandvoort, as he uses all the curb, really pushing that Williams to the max. As Shanaka Clay's looked up at the sharp end so far in qualifying and is looking to push even further. Here comes Shanaka Clay then through that middle side. He's 2 tenths down on the top time from Barry Burman. So at the moment, it's looking good for Shanaka Clay to move himself to the top of the order. What would it be? Maybe a low 1 minute 9.5, perhaps into the 0.4s. Let's find out. Shanaka Clay then heading to the line now. Where does he go? P1. He's into the 0.4s. Super lap as Otmir now begins his quick lap. Behind him though, Beresney on a quick one, Dan.
Yeah, Danny Beresney just about to cross the line. He's finding some improvements in his Scarlet Red Ferrari, and to come up to the line, he goes second fastest with a 109.5. We've got Carter Lundy coming up next, and he's finding 3 tenths on this lap. Could see him around about the range of time and Shooter, and he goes across the line to go third, so he's found even more time in that final sector. Joni Tormala has gone 10th fastest, dropping Rune Pedreño into the bottom 5. Then we got, I believe, Alvaro Caraton coming up to the line next, and he goes quickest of them all. It's a Williams 1-2 at this current moment in time. Jake Benham on the mediums about to cross the line, and understandably going into 11th. Then we got an Aston Martin of her dad going in towards second, so times coming out thick and fast at the minute. We've got Thomas Ronha on his outlap. Then we got, I believe, Rune Pedreño about to come up to the line next, finding about 4 tenths on this lap, so he goes into 5th position. Then we got the Alpine of Patrick Saipos, who's been a bit quiet in this qualifying session. He goes into an impressive 4th place. Alessio Capua going 9th, and then I think we got Jan Otmir coming to the end of his lap. He goes full circle with a 109.425. We saw him starting his lap about a minute ago, and then just as quick as it started, it had ended. So he goes into 2nd position, but Barry Burman, how about that? for a lap time from him to go to the very top of the order. Jan Ortmeier did his best to contend him, and fair play to Daniele Haddad, Alvaro Carreton, and Patrick Cypos as well, and even Shanaka Clay, all these guys in the 109.4s. It's crazy how close this grid is.
Yeah, very, very close. Let's just bring that up for you folks. There you go. Look at that. Top 9. Less than a tenth and a half in the top 9. That is absolutely wild. Oh, so close here today in PSGL, and that's what we love to see. The top 4 separated by less than a tenth of a second. 0.082 between them. Oh, okay, make that top 5. Thomas Ronhar has just gone P2. That is incredible. So close at the top of the order, and it's brilliant to see. Philip Preisneder is out there on a lap. What can he do then as he comes up to the line now? He goes P12, and it's not enough to put him into the top 10. But just look at that order on the left-hand side. Barry Buneman, Thomas Ronhar, Jarno Opmeer, Daniele Haddad, and Alvaro Carreton, all within a 10. Top 10, 10th and a half, Dan. That's so close.
Yeah, it is fantastic how close this grid can be. Jake Benham set his time on the mediums, as did Joni Tomla. They're only 5/10 off of the back of Barry Burman, who's topping the order at the moment. Look at how close some of these margins are. Cypos and Clay have got about 4/10 of a second in it between each other. So, sorry, 4/10, 4/1000 make that. So, incredibly close qualifying session. Philip Preisneder is on his run at the minute. I've had to rejoin the session because my game did crash, but now I'm back in here and I'm getting ready for the rest of this session. 4 minutes to go, and currently the drop zone is to Kapua, Preisneder, Shooter, Tormala, and Jake Benham. But those bottom 2, they've not set times on the soft compound attire, so we've got to watch out for them into the latter stages of this session. They could be the dark horses here, Andy.
Yep, they could indeed, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. A few people saying, wow, Jake's slowest. This is the reason. No, wait, I'll show you. That's why, because he did his lap on the medium tyre, as did Joni Tormala, so that's why they're 3/10 off the back of Thyme and Shooter, both of them a thousandth of a second apart, but he is now, as you can see out there, on the soft compound tyres. So let's see what Benham can do. And I'm pretty sure, going by the pace we've seen from him in the first part of qualifying, there's every possibility he'll be joining that group of cars within a tenth of a second. So several drivers on outlaps not thinking they're safe on their 109.3s at the minute, including Alvaro Carreton on a 109.4. So several of them coming straight back out onto the racetrack. So let's keep an eye then on Jake Benham. What will the cut-off time be, folks? Go on then, tell us in the chat, what are you predicting the cut-off time to be? Let's see what Jake Benham can do. I think there's going to be a 109.4 potentially at this rate, with the top 8 already on that time. So here comes Jake Benham then into that first corner. The All-Star needs a really strong lap in that Mercedes. Can he get up there and match the likes of his teammate Jarno Opmeer? Benham third in the standings at the minute as he swings into 2 and 3, using all the banking he can to catapult himself out of the corner through this narrow stretch of road, which goes up, down, and then swooping down into the right-hander of turn 7. So easy to lose the back end on the curb on exit. Jake Benham, though, has it absolutely planted as he swings into this quick right-hander, and then a long, slightly slower right-hander which feeds into the following left, and Benham really on a quick lap here in the Mercedes as he looks to make his way into the next part of qualifying. Low 0.4, few people saying in the chat, someone saying a 0.5. Let's see what it is. Remember, Benham and Tormala have not done a time on the softs yet, so that will surely help to lower the bar and make the standard even higher to get into the final part of qualifying. Here comes Jake Benham though, round the final corner. He might even get a little toe from the Aston Martin in front. Takes the shortest route. Watch the clock in the top right hand corner. Here comes Benham, P2, 1 minute 9.381, and that's 6 drivers within a tenth of a second. Make that 7.
Danny Bergesney finding the time at the end there. Time and Shooter has just begun on a run at the minute. I'm trying to find, I think Christian is on an out lap. I believe Patrick Cypos is as well. So we are getting towards the end of qualifying 2. Got 1 minute and 15 seconds left here in this session. It's getting very close at the moment. I'm trying to see who is actually on a run. I see Daniele Haddad in his Aston Martin on a push lap at the moment. And I also see Rumpa Drenyo up ahead going quick as well, and he's finding a slight improvement on his previous best. It might not be enough to see him into the next part of qualifying. He's got Cartalundi just in front of him, doing well. Pull off to the left-hand side of the circuit. The Spaniard has now got all the clear air in the world to get into the top 10. He's already in 10th position. A marginal improvement could see him right up the order, and we'll see him to cross the line now. Can he join his teammate?
wow.
And indeed he does. He finds all the time in that final sector, and it's now 1-2 for McLaren.
That's now 8 drivers within a tenth of a second. This is absolutely incredible, this. Here comes Johnny Tormala, and he stays P15 at the minute. He did not get a particularly good lap together. Is Haddad on a quick one? No, he's not. Is the Capua on a quick one? Yes, he is. No, he's not. He's backed out. It's a 1:25.9. But the gaps, look at that. 8 cars now within a tenth of a second. That is so close. I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely unbelievable stuff here at the minute. Here comes Philip Presnader. He's not on a quick one. 1.2 down. And the checkered flag is now waving. So let's see who can get into the next part of qualifying. This is so close. At the minute, Lundy, De Capua, Presnader, Schutter and Tormala are all in trouble. Shinaka Clay needs a time at the minute. He's on the bubble. Can he find the time to move him up the order? No, he's made a mistake in the final corner. He's invalidated it, and that might see him out as Saipos moves up into 3rd position. What a mistake from one of the championship contenders, Shinaka Clay. That would have easily seen him through, and now he's on the bubble, and he might be prey to Carter Lundy, bidding to get into the next part of qualifying. He can't quite do it. He can't do it. He misses out as Otmir smashes them all. The first man into the .2s. Here comes Tormala. He's up to 5th. He makes it through. And now we wait to see if De Capua can knock his teammate Daniele Haddad out of qualifying. And going for the time he's doing at the moment, he might just do that. De Capua does do it. Knocks Haddad out of qualifying. And it might now mean he might get knocked out too by Simon Schutter. Schutter to the line. He knocks both Astons out. And now we wait on Haddad, but he's going slowly, and it's all over for him. Both Astons out of qualifying with Shinaka Clay, Carter Lundy, and Philip Presnader.
Yeah, I think Shinaka Clay being eliminated there is the big story out of Q2 in 13th position when his championship rivals right at the top of the order. That's going to be painful for Clay to be eliminated this early on in a circuit where it's not easy to overtake other drivers. You can have good battles, but it is very difficult to actually find an overtake and get past them cleanly. So Shinaka Clay, he's got his work cut out for him. Both Aston Martins eliminating each other, then Simon Shooter knocking them right out of the park. 7,000th of a second was the difference between De Capua's spot in Q3, the shootout for pole, and then being eliminated in Q2, and he's drawn the short straw there. Simon Shooter on home soil. We've got 3 Dutchmen in the final parts of qualifying. Ronhar and Shooter just about squeezed through in 9th and 10th, but it's Jarno Otmir going clear at the top with a 109.2.
Yeah, big story, as you say. Shinaka Clay was 0.069 up through the middle sector before he had that error in the final corner, and if it wasn't for that error, he would have been through, because he would have did a 109.40, and that would have put him P10 and into the next part of qualifying. So it's a big shock. He is out of qualifying. Jarno Otmir has arrived on the scene in Q2. He's back on top. Will he be on top in Q3? Well, that's quite a big gap. Almost half a tenth in this tier, because look how close it is behind. Caraton second, Beresny third, Pedreño and Burman through in 4th and 5th. 2 McLarens in the next session. Superb stuff there. Johnny Tormala in the top 10 again. We said he won here last year. He could be one to watch. Saipos, Benham and both Dutchies and Ronhar and Shooter make it through. Out go De Capua, Haddad, Clay surprisingly, Lundy, and Presnader out of qualifying, Dan. Big surprise though has to be Shinaka Clay. That error in the final corner has cost him massively.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's going to be missing out on his opportunity to fight for pole in the last 12 minutes of qualifying in Q3. I'm seeing a lot of predictions for what the pole time is going to be, but I'd like to know from all the fans watching. We've got 1,000 of you in the live chat at the moment. I want to know who is going to be the man on top at the end of qualifying. I know you normally ask me this, Andy, but I'm going to say myself. I'm going to start us off today. We're having a little bit of a switch up. I'm going to say Barry Burman takes pole position. Who are you going for, Andy?
Oh, I don't know. It's so close. I mean, we had 8 drivers within a tenth of a second at one point there. This is probably the hardest qualifying we've had to call all season, Dan. It really is. There's so many drivers in contention for this victory tonight. I might have to go to the chat. What are people saying? Jarno, 8 or 9 Jarnos in a row. Okay, I'll just have to go with the chat then. Jarno Otmir's going to get pole. Wow. What do you think, Dan? You're saying Burman? I suppose he's been really strong, hasn't he? He has been so good in qualifying this season. He will be tough to beat, but on home soil, 4 wins in a row, Otmir, he's the man for me. I'm going to go Jarno Otmir for pole position. Let's see if I'm right or you're right. Let's jump into it. It's qualifying 3. This is what we've all been waiting for, folks. And the first man out of the garage is Danny Beresney as he now makes his way out onto the track. What a session this is going to be, Dan. I think it could be the most exciting and enjoyable session of the season. 8 cars within a 10th at one point in Q2. This could be the tightest PSGL session of all time, really. It could be.
Yeah, we didn't have times like this in Austria where, of course, the track is quicker than this. You know, this is one of the fastest circuits on the F1 calendar. And we got a £1.79 donation from Butters Butter. Shout out to Big C for running the best league, of course. Big C, we've not seen him too much in chat tonight. I believe he's in London currently at the moment, but hopefully he drops in. Thank you for your donation, Butters.
Yeah, thanks very much, folks, for the donations. They go a long way to helping PSGL out. You know, we push hard to try and get us nice graphics and stuff like that. So, yeah, thanks very much for that donation. We appreciate that. And, yeah, you're right about Big C. He's doing a great job running the league behind the scenes. And, yeah, fair play to him. He does so well behind the scenes, setting all this up, and so we can all sit here and enjoy the action every Wednesday night. So, yeah, you're absolutely spot on the money with that. Butter's butter, and you're right, butter is indeed butter, and it's not marmalade. As Danny Beresney makes his way into the final corner and begins his flying lap. Let's see what Danny Beresney can do as he comes up to the line now and gets qualifying 3 up and running. One of the closest sessions potentially of the season. And here we go. Beresney in the Ferrari gets us going through turns 1 and now 2 and then on to turn 3. And let's see what he can do. The Hungarian driver pushing for pole position tonight. Let's see if he can do it, Dan. Keep an eye on him.
Oh, he's already backed off.
Oh, okay.
That's an immediate dampener to the start of Q3. But luckily we do have Alvaro Caraton pushing. And I believe he doesn't seem like he's going quick, so he's not pushing either, it seems. I'm trying to find anyone who's on a lap. Let's find Thomas Ronha. He's just beginning on his run down in towards the first corner. The countryman driving in a sea of orange. So he's going to be pretty distracted by looking at the grandstands, but they're all going to be in support of him as in towards the downhill left-hander. A slight lock-up for the AlphaTauri. And again, they back off. So these drivers, they're not getting it down early on.
Well, what about his teammate then? Will he have better fortunes? Joni Tormala. Oh, that was a bit hard. He pushed really a lot there into that corner, did the Finnish driver. Joni Tormala, he's out there at the minute. Behind him on the road, is it Jarno Otmir? No, he's on a slow lap. Jake Benham is behind him though. So Tormala and Benham on quick laps as Tormala gets the rear, sliding big time through turn 7 as Beresney finally gets a time on the board, but it's some 9 or 10 seconds slower than what we're expecting come the end of qualifying. So we'll stick with Tormala for now here at the Dutch Grand Prix in the Netherlands. Round number 9 of the PC F1 PSGL season here at Zandvoort, and the Dutch fans are out in force. They've got 3 Dutch drivers in qualifying 3. Will any of them come out on top? We've got Schutter, Ronhaar and Jarno Otmir all looking to take pole on home soil. But what about the man who won here last year, Joni Tormala, coming up to the line now through the banked final corner. He'll take the shortest run to the line. We saw 0.2s at the end of the last session. It's only a 0.8 for Tormala. It's not particularly quick. Jake Benham has bailed out of his lap, and several runners on this opening part of qualifying failing to get a lap time together. What about Simon Schutter? He's on home soil. Can he shoot for pole position? Not with a time like this. He's going slowly, and it's going to only be a 1:20.4. So everyone at the minute apparently struggling to get a time in. How about Jarno Otmir, 48.280 through the middle sector. How is he looking on his opening run in Q3? He's always the man, when it matters most, who delivers the lap time. And with everyone else falling by the wayside at the minute in the opening runs of qualifying, can Jarno Otmir set the bar pretty high? Pedreño can, 109.497. Can Otmir get near it? He sure can. He beats it by a 1/10 and a half, 109.330. Otmir is P1 for the moment, as Barry Budeman also fails to deliver a quick time. Caraton can, but it's only a 109.5. So Budeman also falling by the wayside, Dan.
Burman not being able to set a competitive time at the minute, but I'd like to give a special shout out for, I hope I'm reading this correctly, a €30 donation from Nico Desot. That is really lovely, and that is greatly appreciated. Let's not forget the commentators. You are all amazing. That is really lovely of you to say, and we greatly appreciate that. And it is lovely to know that we're getting that appreciation as Jake Benham crosses the line to go to the top of the order. Once again, though, a huge thanks for that donation.
Yeah, that's absolutely magnificent, incredible. You really did not have to do that, but thank you so much for that donation and the kind comment. Really appreciate it. Barry Burneman, by the way, needing a lap time, and he's going to try and deliver one now on his second run. Jake Benham, 109.295. That matches. It's slightly quicker than what Jarno Opmeer did in Q2. What about Barry Burneman? How's he shaping up? He's shaping up very well indeed to put the McLaren onto pole position. 109.267 from Barry Burneman. What a lap that is.
I mean, Barry Burman, he managed to find the time. In the end, he was struggling on his opening run, but he's done that very nicely indeed. I believe that is the first wave of laps coming to an end. Yeah, Alvaro Caraton's pulling into the pit lane now. Thomas Ronhaar's on a slow lap as well, as is Timon Shooter. So it seems like that is the first set of laps coming to a close in Q3. It's Barry Burman out on circuit, out on top. My pick for pole. So, you know, I'm trumping you at the minute, Andy. Then Jake Benham in second, third for Thomas Ronhaar. Jarno Opmeer down in fourth, but again, the gaps aren't that wide.
Yeah, they are not that wide. I've got to say though, Dan, I'm slightly surprised. We haven't seen many invalidations up to this point in qualifying. It's been very close. What are you seeing? Pedreño going quick? No?
No. I'm seeing a $50 donation from Joseph Kwan. These are far too kind of you all. You know, this is free entertainment that we're providing for you guys, and it is lovely to see these donations coming out. You casters are doing great, always keeping the energy up. Thank you. This is really lovely. This is surreal, to be honest, and thank you so much for that.
Yeah, again, thanks so much for the donation towards PSGL. It's incredible. Thanks again for your kind comments as well. Really appreciate it, guys. And we just hope that the drivers can put on a great show. And wow, I'm always taken aback by that. That is incredible generosity from both, from everyone. It's incredible. Wow, fantastic, folks. I'm sure PSGL will get great use of that. That's incredible. As Danny Beresnay is on an outlap at the minute in the Ferrari. And let's see what he can do. 1 minute 10.0. At the minute. Not a particularly strong lap, but Dan, I was just going to say, I'm just surprised. I was expecting it to be less scrappy in Q3. It was so nip and tuck in Q2. There was very little invalidations, and perhaps with the pressure being cranked up a little bit, it's been a little bit more scrappy, and that's led to there have been 8 tenths between 10 rather than just 1 tenth.
Yeah, maybe we could see that all come together in the final parts of qualifying. I think Danny Beresnay has actually started his lap at a pretty poor time because he's going to get some traffic in his way as Ronhaar and Burman get out of the way to the right-hand side. Jarno Opmeer as well pulling out of the way. The Hungarian driver, of course, think back to his home Grand Prix at the Hungarian Grand Prix where he picked up a podium after some titanic defending throughout the entirety of the Grand Prix. And he's going to be hoping for more of the same as he's up by 2 and a bit tenths. Just shy of actually 3 tenths on his previous best. Danny Beresnay flying at the moment. He's on a 1:10.0. It is not a time that he's going to be happy with by any means. And oh dear, Danny Beresnay into the wall. Really unfortunate.
Wow, pushing really hard there, the Hungarian driver, Danny Beresnay. We've seen how tight qualifying has been up till now, so every little ounce that you can get on the throttle a little bit quicker could mean so much, but in the end, Beresnay has pushed just a little too hard, gone for a spin, and puts himself under massive pressure to get into the next part, to get up towards pole position at the end of this session. F's in chat everywhere we look, folks, but it's all about what's happening at the front, and Ruben Pedreño is going to be the first man to get us going for the remainder of the runs at the end of qualifying. Buckle up your seatbelts. Here comes the Spaniard. He's been in great form throughout this qualifying session so far. One of the contenders for pole, would be a surprise contender in truth for actual pole position, but he's looked oh so strong. What can he do, Dan? Can he get that pole?
We'll have to wait and see. It looks like he's already going slowly. That would make way for his teammate though, Barry Burman, who is on a push lap, but he's just coming out of turn number 3 now, and he's going through the undulating first sector. And again, he backs out as well. So these guys don't want to be the first ones to set their times. That's going to leave Timon Shooter, the home boy, the hometown hero, really. Has he backed out? I don't think he has. He's up by 0.08 of a second. We'll see what he can do as he comes into the second sector now. Turn number 9, using all the circuit where Danny Berejnay had his spin. He's taken that very nicely, but off the exit now onto the DRS straight, where he's coming to the end of the second sector. We'll see what the Dutchman can do. Currently 8th position, and he's finding 2/10 on this lap. This will only see him just about above Alvaro Carreton. So we've got to find some time in the final sector. Berejnay retires in the pit lane. He's not going to see any more running out in this session, as through the final corner now for Timon Shooter. We'll see what he can do. Can he challenge? Can he be ahead of his fellow countryman? And as he crosses the line, he goes into 5th position. And that is going to be the end of his qualifying there. But we still have runners on laps, Andy.
Yeah, we do. I think Patrick Saipos might be one of them. Is there anyone in the final corner? No, not anymore. Big moment there for Saipos. So his lap is gone. Jake Benham is on an out lap. But Jarno Opmeer has started his flying lap. Let's see if he can light up the timing screens. He's 4th at the minute. Needs about a 10th and a bit to get pole position. So Opmeer, what can he do, Dan? What'd you say?
He's purple at the minute in the first sector.
Yeah, he is purple. I just missed that in the top right-hand corner. So Opmeer, once again, leaving it to the last possible moment when it matters most. Remember, this man has won the last 4 races on this spin. He's now at his home circuit, looking to make it 5 wins in a row. He's in incredible form here in PSGL, and he's looking for pole position on his home circuit, just like Max Verstappen achieved last season in Formula 1. Opmeer then, round the back final turn, the time to beat 109.267. Can Opmeer topple it? He can! 109.112. Jarno Opmeer, take that, everyone else. Can anyone get near it? I tell you what, Barry Budeman might just get near it. He's a 10th up through the middle sector. Can Barry Budeman spoil the home party on home soil tonight here for Jarno Opmeer? Up to the line, he can't. He misses out by a fraction. Oh, so close, but not quite enough. What about Carreton? He's in a good lap as well, you know. He goes 3rd. Another man into the point ones. Benham goes 4th over the line. What about Joni Tormela? And no, he can't. He's not in a quick lap. So what did Ronhard do at the end? I missed that.
He went 2nd.
2nd. Wow, Ronhard goes up to 2nd. That was so close. But in the end, they can't topple him. Jarno Opmeer, 4 wins in a row. It's now pole position on home soil as he bids to make it 5 in a row. It's a Dutch lockout here in the Netherlands. What a result for them. Opmeer on top from Thomas Ronhart.
The Orange Army is going crazy at the minute, and the Pogmere Academy is lighting up the live chat at the moment. How about that for a top 5? Jarno Opmeer, Thomas Ronhart, Ruben Pedreño, Barry Burman, and Alvaro Carreton separated by half a 10th of a second. That is about a blink of an eye. So incredible how close this grid is. The rest of it rounded up by Jake Benham, Timon Shooter, Patrick Saipos, Joni Tormela, and Danny Berejnay. But what an end to a fantastic qualifying. And now we're going to have the Dutch Grand Prix coming our way. Jarno Opmeer starting on pole with Thomas Ronhart alongside him. It's a Dutch front row lockout, and I don't think that the Orange Army would have been asking for a better result.
Yeah, incredible. Just how close it was, Dan. We spoke about this, didn't we? We said it was going to be close, and there it is. Half a 10th between the top 5 drivers. Not 50. Incredibly close. I think we might need to dig back into the records and see what the closest gap between top 5 in PSGL history is, because we thought it would be there or thereabouts tonight, and that was close. Very close. But Jarno Opmeer, just that little bit better, and he gets the job done in Q3, pole position. And Dan, I hate to tell you, I was right. I was right, Dan. I was right. What are you going to say?
It's hard to deny Jarno Opmeer, really, and maybe you could say it's a bit of a basic choice, Andy. So
boring. Maybe I'm just boring then. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I'm boring.
I mean, it's hard to go against him, really. You know, Jarno Opmeer is in the form of his life at the minute, looking for a 5th win in a row, and he's really got into his stride. He didn't even win a race for the first 4 Grand Prix of this season, and now he's won the last 4 in a row. Round number 9 today, I believe it is. You know, he's looking to make it over a 50% win rate in PSGL this season alone, and he's going to be hunting that third title in a row, 4th championship in PSGL, and it's safe to say he is shaping up to be one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he sure is. The formation lap about to get underway. We'll take some predictions in a moment for the Grand Prix ahead. But before we do, let's have a quick look at this. Be sure to join our grid. Yeah, be sure to download the Grid Rival app and join our F1 2022 Fantasy League Grid Rival. It's basically an app that hosts, you know, fantasy leagues, motorsport fantasy leagues, and PSGL have got one. Be sure to join ours, premiersimgl.com/Grid Rival, and pick your drivers and predictions ahead of the, the Formula 1 season. We're already underway. We've, of course, had a few rounds, and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc looking very strong, as is Max Verstappen in his Red Bull. So if I were you, I'd be selecting them. Maybe a few wild cards for the Alfa Romeos. They might be a little bit cheaper, and the likes of Kevin Magnussen, they look quite strong as well. But be sure to join that out. There's a cash prize for the winner as well. So let's jump into the broadcast then. So here we have then 36 laps ahead of the drivers. Jarno Opmeer bidding for a 5th win in a row. Well, Dan, do you think he'll get it? What's your prediction? Who's going to win?
Oh, it's really difficult to deny Jarno Opmeer of this spot, but of course, last season, you know, this was the first, at this very circuit, it was the first time he didn't even finish in the points in PSGL. Actually, it was the first time he didn't score on the podium in every race he'd started. Just before we get going, thank you again to Evo F1 for the €2 donation. Super Jarno. So clearly there's a lot of support for the hometown hero on home soil. Jarno Opmeer starting on pole today with his fellow countryman Thomas Ronhaar alongside him. They're getting into their grid positions now, and we are getting ready for 36 laps of glory.
Yeah, 36 laps ahead of the drivers. Let's see how it all pans out. It's hard to deny Jarno Opmeer, so if you're going for him, I'm not going to be boring this time. I'm going to go for something different. What will I go for? You know what? I'm going to go with Thomas Ronhaar. Ronhaar on home soil, rising star. I'm going to say he'll take it to Opmeer tonight and end the 4-race win streak and upstage him at his home Grand Prix. Well, what a story that would be. Will it happen? Will it not? We'll wait and see. All the drivers lining up into the grid slots. The last man is now in spot in Will Lewis. He's on the hard tyre. He's the only man on that hard tyre. As the 5 red lights come on, we're about to get racing here, and the lights are out. Round 9 of the championship here in the Netherlands. It's go, 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 and it's Jarno Opmeer that leads away into turn 1. It's a short run, and he easily holds off Thomas Ronhaar into the first corner. Look at Pedreño trying to go round the outside there. Couldn't quite find a way through, but it's Opmeer that leads Ronhaar, then Pedreño and Burman, with Caraton next in the order in P5. Look at Barry Burman using the high ground, trying to find a way past Ruben Pedreño, but there's no way through. And as they make the way through the first sector for the first time, it's Jarno Opmeer, the Flying Dutchman, who leads their way, and he leads it well. But look at this, Saipos and Shooter side by side through turn 7. Epic racing there, and Saipos gets it done on the home hero Simon Shooter. And now Tormala also fancies a look up the inside of Shooter, finds his way through, and looks like he's going to make it stick. Well, let's ride on board with the Capua and keep an eye on this battle as Tormala battles away with Shooter, and Shooter has now lost 2 places in as many corners. Will it be a third as the Capua gets very close, but not close enough, and Shooter relegated to 9th from what was P7, Dan.
Yeah, very clean start overall for these guys, and as I say that, Presneder's losing a whole bunch of positions. He might have had some kind of contact, and I think there is no wing damage for Presneder there. He's just lost a handful of positions. I think Alessio De Capua, he's going to make Timon Shooter's victim here, as once again De Capua losing out on Timon Shooter losing out on positions. That's 3 now that he's been overtaken for De Capua into the top 9 as he goes ahead of the Dutchman on home soil. Not a good start for his race at the front of the order though. Barry Borrowman's looking competitive behind his teammate Ruben Pedreño for tonight. It seems like Opmeer and Ronhaar beginning to drop the Spaniard ever so slightly, and he could be at the mercy of the Iranian ace. We've also seen Donoso come into the pit lane for a fresh set of the soft compounder tyre, so I think he's had some damage, and surely Timon Shooter, it's not normal to lose this many positions. He's got to have some kind of problem. Yeah, he's really struggling then. So Beresnay, now Clay, and pretty soon Daniele Haddad will be through. Presumably he's got a little bit of damage. You can't quite see it though on the end plate, as he is beginning to lose a lot of ground. So Haddad through as well. We'll see if Shooter bails out and into the pits at the end of this lap, but he's losing ground. Meanwhile, Jack West and Yumilo were going side by side. Right down at the back, Will Lewis and Presney in a battle. Will Lewis, the only man out there on the hard tyre, but plenty of action early on going on throughout the field. Simon Shooter clearly struggling. Let's see if he makes his way into the pits at the end of this lap as Jarno Opmeer sets the fastest lap on lap 3, and indeed Simon Shooter is coming into the pit lane. Timon Shooter's got some kind of wing damage there, and he's getting repairs to his car. DRS has now been enabled. The first taste we're going to get of that is going to be down in towards turn number 11, the Hans chicane, and surely Barry Burmad is going to be the one to take advantage of that, because now he's within 2/10 of his teammate, and he's very close to challenging the Spaniard. Both McLarens following in tandem in third and fourth. Might be to the advantage of the McLaren outfit, actually, if they just swap drivers around, and if it doesn't work, if you can't make up ground, you know, swap them back later on. But we'll have to wait and see if Barry is going to be that stubborn, as we're going to fly on to the start, not on the start finish, right on this back straight here. But again, the DRS train coming into effect, as we see in pretty much every race. It is going to be very difficult to overtake, as we've got some yellow flags. It's Timon Shooter out of this race.
Timon Shooter out of the race on the run down to turn 7, so I wonder what's happened there. Virtual safety car deployed on lap number 3, so will that trigger any early pit stops? Let's keep an eye on this train at the front of the field. Will anyone think about coming in this early under VSC? Late call by Jarno Opmeer, and they all follow, or most of them follow. Ron Hart stayed out, and as did Barry Buneman, because Ruben Pedreño came in. So it was a really late call. It looked like Opmeer tried to dummy them, and it worked on some of the drivers he was racing against. And he came in and has fitted a set of medium tires. So Opmeer in, and he's followed in by Ruben Pedreño, Alvaro Caraton, Yoni Tormola, and several others. So many cars coming in. Opmeer, Pedreño, Caraton, Tormola, De Capua, Beresnay, all into the pits. What do you make of that one, Dan?
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out for these guys later on in the Grand Prix. Barry Burman wanted to come into the pit lane, but of course he didn't want to stack behind his teammate of Ruben Pedreño, so that might have messed up his strategy ever so slightly. Thomas Ronhaar decided to stay firm in his decision to stay out on circuit, but as Caraton has got past Ruben Pedreño for 14th position, that'll be a net P2 once everyone files into the pit lane. Of course, a free pit stop has been given to all of these drivers who decided to come into the box on under the VSC, and they are going to be in a better position come later on in the Grand Prix. They're going to have the track position, but of course their tyres are going to be more worn out, so we still can't count out the likes of Ronhaar, Burman, Benham and Saipos. They've all opted to stay out on their soft compound tyre.
Now, I remember recently, Dan, a race in WOR where we were considering whether the drivers would get to the end on medium tyres. I'm going to have a little look back at that, because it was a very long way some of them went to get to the end, and there was a lot of talk about whether they'd get that far with puncture territory. So let's see if the likes of Opmeer, Caraton, Tormola and De Capua can do it. That would be, what, 31 laps on a set of mediums. That's a tall order. Will it be a two-stop? Pedreño looks like he plans on going to the end of the race, because he's in the hards, as has Danny Beresnay. So both of those drivers fitting the hards. The question is, can the rest make the mediums work? I'm going to have a little look back at that WOR race and see how far they went to the end of the Grand Prix, because if I remember rightly, Caraton went very long in that WOR race, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there for that one, so I think I was under the weather, unfortunately, but I'm here right now, and one thing I'm sure of is that Yoni Tormola wants to go for the move on Ruben Pedreño. Of course, the McLaren slower on the hard compound of tyre compared to the mediums on that Alpha Tauri. Tormola wasn't able to make the move just this moment, but I'd imagine in towards turn number 1, he's going to try and side his way down the inside unless Pedreño goes defensive. We'll see the run that he gets onto the main straight. Pedreño without DRS at all, and it's going to be a sitting duck to the onslaught from Yoni Tormola down in towards the first corner. Didn't even need to use much DRS, and he secures the move before the corner even comes, and he is into 15th position ahead of Pedreño, and now it's going to be De Capua next up to try and overtake that McLaren on the slower hard tyre.
Yeah, well, I found that race, folks, and I'm just having a little look at it now, because this is good information for tonight's Grand Prix. Alvaro Caraton and Barry Buneman won the WOR race 1-2 with 28 lap old mediums. They would need to go 31 tonight to make them work. So can they do it? I can also tell you that Liam Parnell, he might have finished down in 15th in that race, but he went 32 laps on the medium tyre. So surely that was close to puncture territory. But how close, I do not know. But what I can say, nobody got a puncture by going 29, 32, 31 laps, going that far. But will anyone tonight? That's the question. I'm pretty sure it would be putting it on the limit, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ronhaar is actually coming into the pit lane now.
Okay.
taking off those soft tyres pretty early. I think you can go a few more laps, but I guess he's trying to cover off the undercut, and I think he can go to the end on the 30 odd laps on those medium tyres. We'll see where he files out in comparison to his rivals, as Otmir is going to go right past him, but he might come out ahead of Alvaro Caraton. It's going to be very tight, and unfortunately he's been undercut by Alvaro Caraton, so Ronhard losing out in that affair. But he does have the fresher tyres only by 2 laps, and he's not going to have the heat in them at the moment, so he's just got to bide his time, follow in behind that Williams, and sooner or later his time is going to come where those tyres are going to be in a better position than Caraton's, and especially if he's following and not necessarily attacking, then he'll be able to save up his resources and attack later on into the race. It's all about the long game for some of these guys, but I think a short-term gain is about to be made by Jarno Otmir, following in behind Will Lewis on his hard compounder tyre, been completely dropped by the train. It's not going well for him. Otmir can't find the move in towards turn number 11, but it's really difficult to go up the inside into that chicane as Boromand comes into the pits to cover off the undercut from Ronhar. Benham and Saipos both staying out on circuit. Here comes Otmir though. I don't think Will Lewis is going to have much of an attack or a defence really on the Dutchman in his home Grand Prix, leading the way in towards turn 1, and he makes that move up the inside in towards the first corner.
As Barry Buneman then makes his way out of the pit lane. It's going to be quite close with Joni Tormala, but it will not be enough to get him in front of Joni Tormala. He'll slot in between he and Alessio De Capo. So Barry Buneman back on track with slightly fresher tyres than some of those around him, and he makes his way back out just behind the Finnish driver Joni Tormala. So let's see how that all pans out. Just giving you guys a quick look at the detail. There it's there. Everyone outside the top 10 with the exception of Will Lewis has been in the pits, and he's just been overtaken by both Alvaro Caraton and Thomas Ronhar. So we're still waiting on the top 9 plus Will Lewis to make a pit stop. We lost Simon Schutter, which brought out a virtual safety car and led to this early flurry of pit stops that you're seeing now. So let's see how it all pans out. But at the minute, Jarno Otmir, the net race leader of this Grand Prix, 6/10 ahead of Alvaro Caraton, who is looking pretty strong as well, as is Ronhar in behind. Ronhar, I think, a real threat here, given that he's got 3 lap fresher tyres than the other two in front.
Yeah, he's very close to the rear of Alvaro Caraton. I think possibly being saved by the DRS of Jarno Otmir in front of him, as Patrick Saipos has just filed into the pit lane now. We'll see where he emerges in this train, and I imagine it'll be behind Rune Pedreño, possibly in front of the McLaren, but in towards the first corner, no moves being made. Will Lewis still in this battle as well, following right behind Joni Tormala, I think to the annoyance of Barry Boromand, who's come out of the pits a lap later than everyone else. Will Lewis doing his best to, I guess, try and keep with these guys, but it's very difficult on the tyres that he has been assigned. He chose to start on the hards though. It was his choice. He started outside the top 10. And we'll see Barry Boromand. Frustration might get the better of him, because in towards turn number 8 and 9, can he go up the inside? Oh, he had a half think about going for the move, but Will Lewis staying ahead. Slight slide from the Alfa Romeo. It's not been a great race for the Italian outfit, and once again another slide off the exit of turn number 10, and Barry Boromand's going to squeeze on through, as is Alessio De Capua, but they've lost a whole heap of time in comparison to those in front.
Yeah, big amount of time lost there, but that's frustrating. But you could just see the caution from Barry Buneman. Didn't want to run into the back of Will Lewis while he was sliding there. Had to bide his time. One touch on the back of that car, and that would have been damage to his front wing, and chances of victory gone. He should now be able to ease onto the back of Joni Tormala. He is out with that 1 second window, but you will think, with the dirty air that the other drivers in front are suffering from, he will close that back up, Barry Buneman. So not game over yet, as we now lost Will Lewis from the Grand Prix, but it is in the pit lane, so that will not be any safety cars at this stage. So Jarno Otmir then, he has now got an 8.5 second lead gap in front of him to Philip Presnay, just so he can relax, he can breathe a little bit now, doesn't need to worry about getting on the wrong side of a car he's not racing with, and allowing some of the others to maybe seize an opportunity to get through. But as you can see, he's leading Caraton, Ronhar and Tormala and Barry Buneman in that group at the minute. So at the minute, Otmir on course to do all he needs to do to make that 5 wins in a row, and that lovely helicopter shot shows you the cars he's leading round. If you've just joined us, there was an early virtual safety car which led to so many early pit stops, And as you can see now, I'll give you the detail, folks. There it is there. Otmir all the way down to Fabrizio Donoso. Drivers have made pit stops nice and early. Some of them have gone long. Jake Benham, the only man on the softs that has gone long. Shinaka Clay down to Philip Presneder, all on the medium tire. So there was no benefit for them to come into the pits. So what about Ronhar? He's been quite close to Caraton last couple of laps. Is he going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1? Doesn't look like it. He's just going to sit pretty for now and not plan any moves just yet. And as I predicted, Barry Buneman well within a second now of Johnny Tomala.
I think Thomas Ronhar has the pace to go for the move on Alvaro Caraton at the moment for a net P2 in this race, but it's very difficult when following in the DRS train. He's got to go for an unconventional overtake, and he's certainly closing in towards turn number 7, could possibly try and set him up for turn number 9, but then again, it's not worth using up these mediums early on in the race when these guys are trying to go to the end on this compound of tyre. They're not looking to do a 2-stop in this race, so they don't want to burn up the tyres early on. Alvaro Caraton with a bit of a direct line into the corner could compromise his exit here, but again, yeah, Thomas Ronhar's just not close enough to go for the move safely without actually making a slide or burning up any of his resources. So I'd imagine the AlphaTauri is just going to look to follow him behind for the time being, unless he has an opportunity into the first corner here, as we'll watch all these guys off the exit of the banked turn number 14. Ronhar's certainly got a good run, but I don't believe he's going to be trying for a move on Alvaro Caraton, as into the first corner they go. They remain 1, 2 and 3, I guess 9, 10 and 11 net podium these guys are on, and yeah, they're just going to try and go long in this race. We're only a third of the way through. It's Jan Otmir leading from Alvaro Caraton. We still await the pit stop of Jake Benham.
Yeah, we still do. Meanwhile, Jack West and Dario Yamilo appear to have been battling through the first sector and swapping places. They were battling earlier on through turn 7 on the opening lap, I believe, or the opening couple of laps. They're now fighting once again, and it looks like they're using a lot of battery up there. I was keeping an eye on Thomas Ronhar going down to turn 1 behind Caraton. He didn't seem like he was interested in using any of his battery at all, so he's just happy to sit there and play the patient game at the minute. You just wonder what the balance is like. Is it better for track position here at Zandvoort, or is it better to have fresh tyres? So it's going to be a tall order for Ronhar. He will have to pass Caraton and then Otmir, and it ain't easy to pass just Caraton with Otmir when he's getting DRS from Otmir, so it won't be easy. But you do feel, if you're Jarno Otmir, the biggest threat will be well, oh, look at this, Shinaka Clay, overtaking Jake Benham. So it looks like the soft tyres are past their sell-by date, and the mediums are now quicker, as Clay has gone ahead of Benham at the helm of the field. So he's gone through, and down in position goes the all-star Jake Benham, as Tormala again Ronhar getting close again to the back of Caraton, but not going for that move. But you do feel like Alvaro Caraton is almost like Jarno Otmir's safety net here, given the tyre difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess they just got to go for as long as they can in this race. I think it's a bit of a concern for Jake Benham at the minute, though, to be losing positions to Clay and Haddad. We also got to factor them in later on in the Grand Prix, of course. They'll be on fresh softs right at the end, and if they come out in a similar position to Caraton, Otmir, maybe a little bit further behind, I'd say possibly if they can overtake De Capo and Saipos early on, they could be on track for a podium. But surely at this point, Jake Benham has got to come into the pits, because it's lap 13 now. Those tyres are beginning to go off the cliff. I know you can do around about 13 laps, not 13 laps, about 16 laps on a set of the softs. So he should be coming in the next few laps.
Look at this, Dario Yamilo and Jack West continuing their race-long battle. Yamilo up the inside, gives Jack West a little shove out towards the edge of the curb. Great fight here between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Jack West just does not want to give it up, and the Prancing Horse and the Raging Bull are fighting like crazy, and Jack West just about holds on. What a scrap between these two, and Yamilo is going to try the inside through turn 7. Oh, that's absolutely wild, and in the end, something wild happens as a result, and West is in the barrier. He's got wing damage, and through that section of the track, I am not even slightly surprised that happened. Wow, that was really aggressive from the pair.
I think that was inevitable in the end. If they were fighting for that long and that hard, and Jack West he's left the session. I hope that's a game crash, because you've got to have a pretty weak mental to be leaving the session because of that. But hopefully he can get back in and continue racing on. And if you are going to retire, at least do it in the pit lane. Dignify us with that confirmation that you're not going to be in the race for the remainder of it. But Jake Benham, meanwhile, finally into the pit lane, getting his Mercedes car serviced. The leader's currently coming out of turn number 14. Benham leaving the box now, and we'll see where he emerges in comparison to his teammate Otmir, Alvaro Caraton, Thomas Ronhar, Yoni Tormala. They're all flying past Jake Benham at the moment. Is he going to come out, I think, ahead of Rum Pedreño? Not too far off the train at this point in time. Oh, he's coming out just in front. Wow. Yeah, just ahead of Rum Pedreño. And he's got 2.6 seconds to make up until he's into the DRS train. But I'd imagine, given that they're all following in behind each other and fighting it a little bit, they should be okay.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what works out. Is track position king, or is 10-lap fresher tyres on the likes of Otmir and Caraton the way to go? We'll find out at the end of the Grand Prix. Remember, Otmir and Caraton at the helm of the field. They will have to do 31 laps on a set of medium tyres. Jake Benham will only have to do 21. So, how will that shape up at the end of the Grand Prix? And what about Ruben Pedreño on the hard tyres? At the minute, that strategy doesn't look like it's working, but let's see if it does work come the end of the Grand Prix. Will he start to come back to them? That will be the question. But going by his pace at the minute, and the fact he's now behind Jake Benham, that suggests to me that his race is not looking particularly strong on the hard compound. We might be wrong come the end of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Barry Bruneman looks a little bit fed up behind Yoni Tormala. Is he going to send one up the inside? Thinking about it, but no more than that. The Iranian driver just stays behind Tormala for the minute, but he certainly looked for a moment, Dan, like he was going to consider it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what we want in league racing. A lot of question marks, you know, the uncertainty of what's going to happen. Will Barry go for the move? Will he stay behind? In this case, he decided to stay behind Yoni Tormala. The two AlphaTauris running really well at the minute in a net P3 and P4. Jake Benham, by the way, is just about dipped under 2 seconds to the pack at the moment, so he's not too far off being within DRS range of Patrick Sipos, who is looking to have his own scrap with De Capua. So throughout this train, they're all having their mini little scraps, which is lovely to see. As always, is Barry Burman going to have an opportunity at Yoni Tormala? It's very difficult to overtake into this corner, regardless of whether you're in a DRS train or not. But it's great to see as Jake Benham, he continues to cut that gap, now down to 1.5 seconds. And you've got to say, with the tyre difference, come the end of the race, Jake Benham is going to be in a fantastic position. He's given up track position for the long-term advantage, as there goes Sipos on the back of De Capua in towards the first corner. Sipos to the outside line. Can he make the move stick on? Oh, no, he can't. On De Capua, the switchback move works. Can he go up the inside and towards turn 2 and 3? They make contact. Oh, my word, I don't believe what's happening here. And now to the outside line goes Patrick Sipos. Can he make this move stick? They're going to run wheel to wheel in towards the first sector here. Again, banging wheels in towards turn number 7 they go. Can they keep it clean? Up the inside goes Sipos, holding it around the outside. It's De Capua. Oh, come to blows. De Capua onto the gravel, but he's managed to keep it out of the walls, and he's still in this train. But Sipos, that was a little bit touch and go as to whether that was the cleanest move.
Oh, it was a bit wild throughout there. De Capua, I felt, I'll need to see it again, looked like he was moving under the braking zone into turn 1, which kind of put Sipos off a bit, and I think that's what kind of led to the continuous bumps and barges throughout the opening sector. I think maybe Sipos was a bit annoyed about that. I'll need to see it again to see if he did move. It looked like it from my first view, and it just led to that continuous scrap all the way through that sector. But that does show you can make a move. Whether it's the cleanest way of doing it or not, I don't know. But Benham is now right in there within a second, and now this is the question: can he clear all these drivers in the 18 laps that remain? It's only half race distance, folks. And can he get up there with 10-lap fresher tyres, 11-lap fresher tyres in fact, than some of the drivers in front of him? And can he end Jarno Otmir's streak? Let's see if he can. At the minute, he looks like the biggest threat to do so, alongside maybe Thomas Ronhar. Interesting, Dan. Very interesting. This is set up beautifully. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pans out. What do you think, Dan? Where are you going at the minute with your guesses?
Oh, I don't know at the moment, Andy. I'm really unsure, and that is what I love about PSGL. I almost died casting that there, and I swallowed a bit of fluff that somehow found its way into my mouth, which is lovely to see. But, you know, PSGL, you got to die for the cause, and this is certainly a race worth dying for. This has been lovely today so far, as Cartalundi is going to be the first of the medium runners. Interestingly, that's quite early, I'd say. 16 laps on the softs is certainly going to be possible but is it feasible? I'm not too sure. As Barry Burman using up some of his battery, closing to the rear of Joni Tormala. Can he got the inside? The DRS train saving him here. And the fastest lap coming out from Jake Benham. He's actually gone around the outside of De Capua here. And so De Capua getting a bit of a taste of his own medicine, now being attacked by Jake Benham. And he goes down the inside and towards turn number 2 and 3. Sensational stuff from the All-Star himself. And that is another position made up today. And he closes in on that podium. He's got his crosshairs now locked on to Patrick Saipos just up the road.
Yeah, well, there you go then. Good move there from Benham. He's got one done. Now he needs to clear Saipos, Burman, Tormala, Ronhar, Canaton and Otmir. Not too many, but we'll see how he gets on. But he does have a tyre advantage over many of them, as does Saipos as well. Not as extreme a tyre advantage, but I think Saipos' thinking will be quite simple here. Oh, jumped to the wrong car. I think that Patrick Saipos will be thinking, I need to clear these cars before Jake Benham gets to me, because he sees Jake Benham 6 lap fresher tyres than him. That is someone that is quicker than him in this train. But if Saipos can start clearing a few in front, then he will put a barrier between he and Jake Benham. But at the minute, it's not looking likely. What is looking likely is Barry Burman maybe going for a move into turn 1. Again, thinking about it, but again, thinks better of it. Is Jake Benham moving himself into a really strong position here to contest for the victory? It's looking like he might be. Look at this from Burman, trying the high road to get a run on Joni Tormala, but he can't quite manage it, and he stays frustrated in 10th position, which at the minute is a net P5 on the road as this train of cars begins to form after the VSC and various strategies that we've seen. It's really shaping up to be an intriguing, enthralling and extremely tight, just as it was in qualifying, Grand Prix here in the Netherlands. Barry Burman really is pushing now, and he wants to make that move. Perhaps a little bit anxious that Jake Benham is on 4 lap old mediums, just 1 car behind him after Patrick Saipos. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I think this is probably one of the most enticing races we've seen so far this season. What is that, like 7 cars or something following in the lead train, at least the net lead train. We're still awaiting pit stops from Shanaka, Clay, Haddad, Welch, Yamulo. Prejner has made his call into the pit lane now, as I think Barry Burman, he's finding his opportunities, closing to the rear of Joni Tormala. Into the first corner they go. It's not enough to go up the inside, but at some point these guys have got to bite the bullet. They've got to go for the moves at some point, and I await that moment with a lot of joy. I'm really excited for this one, Andy.
Wow, Benham braking really late there and almost ran into the back of Saipos. And is he now deploying a bit of his battery? He is! He's going for the daredevil move up the inside into turn 7. Jake Benham up the inside of Saipos. What a move that was! Bravery at 200 miles an hour. Benham sticks it down the inside. He's into the top 10. Next up, Barry Burman. That was epic, catching Saipos out when he wasn't expecting it. And the Mercedes flies through into turn 7. What a move that is from the young star, Jake Benham. Superb.
Tantalising, really, to watch Jake Benham's craft, where he's taking advantage of these guys who have been on these tyres since the early pit stop phase, and he's finding his groove as Haddad overtakes Shanaka Clay for the lead of this Grand Prix. Of course, those guys yet to make their pit stops. Jake Benham could be under pressure from Patrick Saipos, who's coming back at him towards the outside line and towards turn number 1. Who's going to get the better run? It's Jake Benham on the inside, Saipos on the outside. A switchback move could be on the cards here for Saipos. No, Jake Benham just about stays ahead. Louis Welch emerges, I think, just behind his teammate of Philip Prejner. Actually, I think he's just in front. The two Hasses in 14th and 15th. Meanwhile, Cartalundi's also found his way on to this train and on the fresh, soft compound of tyre. We'll see if he's able to overtake De Capua and Saipos soon.
Yeah, I forgot about Cartalundi. He sees another threat in this Grand Prix. What can he do? He's right on the back of this train. Wow, that is going to be very interesting as well. But just a word on Jake Benham there. That was great defending going into turn 1. Saipos on the outside. He braked that a little bit later into the first corner and then just turned in early, parked it on the apex, covered off the switchback from Saipos. Really intelligent driving from the youngster, and he should now have him covered with 6 lap fresher tyres. Really smart driving from Benham into turn 1. I love that, and he holds on. Just small things like that we can pick up as commentators and fans watching. Really, really like to see that from Benham as they make their way over the start line down towards turn 1 again, as Yumulo has now made his way into the pits, and now we've only got Haddad and Haddad and Clay to make stops, and then it will be Otmere leading with a mighty train of cars behind him, some on similar age of tyres, some on much fresher. The likes of Jake Benham, who's on 11 lap younger tyres, Buneman's on 4 lap younger tyres, Saipos is on 5 lap younger tyres, and this man, Carter Lundy, on the soft tyre, bidding to make one of the biggest shocks of all and win this race on the softs.
This really is a contender for race of the season because of the uncertainty of it. We just don't know where this is going to go. Jake Benham is looking like he's close to the rear of Barry Burman, as is Thomas Ronhard to the rear of Alvaro Caraton. We'll see if any of these guys are looking to make an overtake. Benham certainly is. He's in prime position to go for a move, not quite yet, but if he can secure a good run off the exit of turn number 13 and 14, then he'll be in the best position down onto the start-finish straight. Haddad into the pit lane now. He was one of the leaders for quite some time in this race, but here comes Jake Benham off the exit of turn number 14. He's just not close enough at this point in time. What about Thomas Ronhard, though? He's closing certainly to the rear of Alvaro Caraton, who's getting close to Jarno Otmere, and I just don't know where to look, Andy, as Thomas Ronhard's got a good exit on the Spaniard. It could be a Dutch 1-2 on the cards at the moment, as in towards turn number 2 and 3. No, he's not close enough. He is close, but he's certainly not in an overtaking position yet, but of 2/3 of the way into this Grand Prix, and we are getting some spectacular performances from all these guys, and it is a pleasure to watch.
This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I just had a beautiful camera shot, fair play to Codemasters, of these drivers going through the chicane, the kind of stadium-like section on the previous lap. All 9 of them from the helicopter camera were in the shot. As what's going on? What are you seeing?
Well, Carter Lundy tried to go for a move on the Capua, and actually he's got the good run in towards turn number 11. No, he's not close enough to go for it there.
Oh, it's so close. We've now got 9 drivers in the line. Make that 10, because Haddad had just been in the pits. He's rejoined right in the midst of this battle. So we are going to have, after Shinaka Clay pits, which is now 10, potentially 11 when Clay rejoins the track, in the fight for victory. Jarno Otmere now takes the lead. He's won 4 races in a row, but there's 10 cars behind him wanting to stop that at 4 and not make it 5. This could be one of the best races of the season. Do not go anywhere, folks. This is shaping up to be a cracker. Otmere leads. Caraton, Ronhard, Tormala, Buneman, Benham, Saipos, De Capua, Haddad, Lundy and Clay all want to steal his crown here in the Netherlands tonight.
Yeah, and Haddad has just made 2 overtakes there. He's overtaken Carter Lundy and now his teammate Alessio De Capua. So that is 2 moves made already for the Italian honour. His fresh soft compound of tyre in 8th position. He's already scoring points in this one. Everything he's making after this is just bonus points for him. We'll see what he can do on the rear of Patrick Saipos. Surely 15 lap on mediums against completely fresh soft. It's not even going to be a competition. He's pulling out the slipstream because he doesn't want to go for the move yet. Jake Benham's getting close to Barry Burman in behind as well for 5th and 6th, and Jake Benham has actually got a very nice exit here on the rear of the Iranian ace. Both of these guys, some of the most talented F1 drivers on the game at the moment. We'll see if any of these guys can go for an overtake into the first corner. Jake Benham doesn't look like he's close enough. What about Haddad on the rear of Saipos? Saipos defending to the right hand side, so it's going to be the long way round for Daniele Haddad. Can he go around the outside here as they're wheel to wheel off the exit? He's going to have the inside for the next corner. It's going to be turn number 2 and 3 for Daniele Haddad. It's another move made. That's 2 laps and 3 overtakes for him. Now he's got his sights set on Jake Benham and Barry Burman. A top 5 and a potential podium is on the horizon for Daniele Haddad.
Well, it's very simple for Jake Benham now. Either pass Burman right now or your chances of victory are going, because Haddad fancies being the lead car of those challenging on fresher tyres than those in the top 5. So then, Haddad behind Benham, cuts out from behind him, looks for the inside line, and now can he use his traction on the grippier softs to outrun him? No, he can't. Benham stays in front for now, but Haddad has the bit between his teeth. The Italian in the Aston Martin senses a chance at victory here on the soft tyre. He went long on the mediums, and now he's beginning to make it work. So many drivers went on the mediums in Q1. They didn't fancy that strategy. Well, now they might be beginning to eat those words, because Haddad is looking strong. Look behind him. Shanaka Clay now on the move. He was knocked out in Q2. On the inside of Patrick Saipos, looking for the move. Can he now take 8th place away from Saipos? Banging wheels the pair, and Shanaka Clay is now through. Saipos just will not give it up though. On the inside, Clay has the high ground. He has the fresher tyres. He has 8th position, and now he and Haddad can begin the chase of the top 6.
Yeah, this is really tantalising stuff in PSGL on a Wednesday night, providing you action like this every week. We've got 1,800 of you in the live chat at the moment. Let us know who is going to be the winner in all of this. We've got potentially 11 candidates for the win of this Grand Prix, which is surreal to say at the moment, as Thomas Ronhard is close to the rear of Alvaro Caraton. Shanaka Clay is close to the rear of Daniele Haddad. Surely these guys don't want to be burning up their softs at this point in time. You know, they want to be the lead runner on the fresher compound, but of course it's going to eat their tyres up. They're going to have the higher degradation at the end of this race. It's going to sort of level itself out by lap number 36, and is Jake Benham going to go for the move because he's close to Barry Burman? Into the first corner they go. Cartalundi, I think, trying to go for an overtake on Alessio de Capua, but good defensive positioning there for the Italian, possibly off the exit. Can Cartalundi take it as they're going to fly through now in towards the second and third corner? It's going to be the long way round, trying to get the momentum on the outside line for Lundy, and no, it's not enough, but he actually does get a good run here. Oh my word, and in towards the undulating and sweeping lefts and rights of the first sector. He's closing to the rear of the Capua, but he's just not enough. It is so close at the minute, Andy, and I don't know who's going to come out on top here.
Well, folks, you want to know how close it is? There's 2.7 seconds Cartalundi is from the lead of this race. 2.8. He's not going to get a point at the minute. That's how close it is. He's outside the top 10. That is incredible. Now, is Jake Benham going to use a few more tricks from his book that we've seen earlier in the Grand Prix? Is he going to try and move into turn 7 again? Maybe on Barry Burman. We've just seen Cartalundi try that. Didn't quite make it work. He's almost pushing Burman through the corners. He's saying, come on, get a move on, Burman. I want to win this race and then my teammates 4-race winning run. Benham now absolutely has a chance to make the move. He's using up the battery, but so's Burman. And when the time he gets to turn 1, he just is not close enough to make that move. Absolutely incredible. So frustrating for those drivers on fresher tyres.
Yeah, I think Jake Benham's getting a little bit bored looking at that Husky Chocolate sponsoring on the rear of the McLaren, and he's going to want to jump ahead of him. He's got a good exit. Oh my word, he's closing to the rear in towards turn number 6 and 7, but again Barry Burman just about staying ahead. Jake Benham really getting aggressive here. He's getting so close to the rear of Burman. He's still got quite a bit of battery as well to attack. He's pushing him through turn number 8 and in towards turn 9. Jake Benham with the utmost pace at the minute. He's certainly the quickest medium runner on circuit, but he just can't find an avenue to overtake. The DRS can be enabled this time by, but once again he's not going to be close enough in towards turn number 11 and turn 12, so he's got to turn his attention towards the first corner at the minute on lap number 29. It's Jan Ortmir leading from Caraton, Ronhard, Sormela, Burman and Benham. That's your top 6 at the minute. We could see some changes though, because Haddad is looking to get his nose in there as well, as off the exit of turn number 14. Can Jake Benham find an opportunity to go for a move on Barry Burman? I don't believe so. What about Haddad in behind? And after all of that fighting, how has no one made a move in towards the first corner?
It's incredible. Again, the helicopter shot there picked up all 11 leaders in a line. It's absolutely wild. I've never seen anything like this. This is PSGL, folks. This is why you should tune in every single week. It's so exciting, so dramatic. Leave a like on the video, leave a comment. Hope you're enjoying the action. Subscribe to the channel. We've got action like this every single Wednesday night, and it's absolutely epic. We had a break week last week. Boy oh boy, are we making up for that break week tonight. Ortmir leads at the minute, looking to make it 5 in a row on home soil. There's the battery percentage he's got. He's still got ammunition, 80% left. Caraton 85, pretty dead level between those two in terms of the battery. Will Caraton be thinking about a move pretty soon, perhaps even on this lap? We have only got 5 laps to go at the end of this one. It's beginning to shape up pretty nicely, and is Alvaro Caraton now ready to try and challenge Jarno Opmeer for the lead of this Grand Prix as they come round the final corner. He's getting closer, he's getting closer, he's going for the move. Canaton down the inside into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix. Opmeer tries to hang it round the outside, can't quite do it, and Alvaro Canaton is through. We have a new race leader here tonight at the Dutch Grand Prix. Jarno Opmeer has been overtaken with 5 laps to go, but is it a tactic? Is it a plan? We've seen this a few weeks ago. Perigny was let go in the penultimate lap, only for Opmeer to repass him. Is it a tactical move? We'll wait and see. But at the minute, the 4-race winning streak will be ending at the hands of Alvaro Canaton.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Jarno Opmeer put too much of a fight up against him. Meanwhile, up behind, I think Jake Benham is feeling the pressure from Shanaka Clay in towards turn number 9 and 10 they go. Shanaka Clay, who's overtaken Daniele Haddad, is now pouncing on the rear of the Mercedes car of Jake Benham. Not close enough in towards turn number 11, but possibly into the first corner if he can get a good exit off of turn number 13. We're in towards turn 14 and turn 1. The main straight comes up now. The ERS being utilised by Shanaka Clay. He's trying to make up the positions as early as he can, using up all the battery down this main straight. Is he going to look to the inside? You bet he is, as he goes down the inside line of Jake Benham. Jake Benham with the better momentum off the exit of the corner. Clay, he tried his luck. He didn't come out on top, but possibly down the inside into turn number 3. He's on curbing on the inside. Has he got the good exit? And then banging wheels, swapping bait in towards the first sector. They go. My voice completely going off the clip, but somehow out of all of that battling, Jake Benham still maintains P6 in this race, but possibly Shanaka Clay could look up for another overtake as we got yellow flags. That's Cartalundi, I think, has unfortunately gone around as Clay closing once again to Jake Benham. No, not this time by Andy.
Yeah, Thomas Ronhart getting very close to the back of Jarno Opmeer. Has Opmeer made a mistake by letting Canaton go, because he's now let a man with 3 lap fresher tyres than Opmeer get onto his tail and start to hassle and harry him. The gap was under a tenth at times through that middle sector. Opmeer, though, just about keeping himself within range of Canaton to have a decent enough slipstream to go with his DRS, so he should just about stay in front for now, and it looks like it will be a status quo as they cross the line. But here comes Shanaka Clay for round 2. Round the outside he goes on Jake Benham. That would be an incredible move, and he's going to make it work, I think. Not quite. Benham has the inside line. Yes! Through goes Clay, and now onto Barry Burman as well. That would be epic from Clay. It was epic enough passing Benham. Almost an incredible move to pass Barry Burman as well. Now going up the hill, using the battery to get ever closer to Burman. Thinks about a move up the inside into turn 7, but no more than thinking about it. He can't quite get it done. What a race here in Zandvoort.
This is really turning out to be one of a PSGL classic, really. You know, we've got so many different strategies. Oh, Clay looking to the inside of Burman. Aggressive defending from the Iranian ace there, trying to maintain that position ahead of Shanaka Clay, and he has managed to do so, but he's cost himself some time, and that could leave him vulnerable to another onslaught as they're coming on towards lap number 34 now. We've got 3 laps to go at the end of this one here. We'll see, can Shanaka Clay break into that top 5, which he's been hunting for so many laps now, 7 laps since his pit stop, and it's been leading up to this, because here he goes on the back of Barry Burman, who's sub 10% on the ERS. They've all been using up their resources, fighting each other further back behind. Daniele Haddad is going around the outside of Jake Benham, who just about maintains that position. In front of him, it's P7 and P8. They remain, but possibly Daniele Haddad going to look to the high road to then cut back off the exit and get a good run as in towards the first sector they go. Here goes Daniele Haddad in towards turn number 6 and 7. Uphill they go, swooping back down the inside for Daniele Haddad. Brilliant defense, though, from Jake Benham to maintain that gap in front of him as Cartalundi out of this race on lap number 34.
Albeit though in the pit lane, which is the key factor. There will not be any VSCs to calm this battle. It needs calmed, but it won't be getting calmed. Here is your race leader, Alvaro Canaton, looking to get the victory. Second in WOR in the other top league that races on PC. Couldn't quite get the victory on that occasion. What about tonight though? At the minute, he's on course to end Jarno Opmeer's 4-race winning streak as we now lose Donoso also from this Grand Prix, down to 16 runners 14 of them are in this train, fighting for the victory. But here comes Otmir now. He's defending the inside is Caraton. Otmir going round the outside of the penultimate lap, looking to make the move on Caraton. Can't quite get alongside. And Caraton, for now, is fending off Jarno Otmir, who's just been waiting, saving the battery, getting ready to pounce for this final lap attack and assault on Caraton to try and make it 4 wins in a row, going up through turn 7. He's ever closer to the back of that Williams driver, but at the minute he's not quite close enough as things get really tight at the front of the order. Caraton leads, Otmir second, Ronhar is still right there as we get ready to move on to the final lap. There was a lot of talk about these drivers potentially running into punctures, but at the minute there is no sign of that. 30 laps they've done on the medium tyre. Jarno Otmir, 4 wins in a row, looking to make it 5 in front of his home crowd here in the Netherlands. Look at the Orange Army waiting impatiently in the grandstands, expecting him to pick up the victory. It's all about the run now, off the final corner. Caraton, is he a sitting duck or can he defend from Jarno Otmir? Here he comes, the Dutchman to the outside, into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix as he looks to make it 5 in a row. And listen to the roar from the Dutch fans on home soil. Otmir into the lead with a final lap move. Caraton demoted to second, and it looks like it will be 5 straight wins in PSGL for Jarno Otmir, who's in the form of his life, Dan.
Yeah. Lap number 36 of 36 for Jarno Otmir, starting this race out on pole, out qualifying Thomas Ronhar by 0.008 of a second. We think back weeks and weeks ago, all the way to early February when he won his first race of the season, and now it's going to be 5 on the trot. In the form of his life, Jarno Otmir has now got 1 more sector to go until he wins this race in towards the final chicane for the final time, and he's just got 2 more corners to go. The live chat erupting at the moment in excitement. It's all jubilation at the minute as the Orange Army in the grandstand rise to their feet. Jarno Otmir out of the final corner on home soil. He lays down the gauntlet once again to cross the line. Jarno Otmir wins at the Netherlands.
It's 5 on the spin for the Dutchman in front of his home fans. What a victory that is. He had to fight. He had 11 or 12 drivers in the fight, determined to stop him, but they couldn't stop him on home soil. The Dutch fans go home happy. He passes Caraton on the final lap to claim the victory. Otmir on top, Caraton second, Ronhar makes it double Dutch delight on the podium. Joni Tormela is 4th in the other Alpha Tauri, Boonemand is 5th, Shinaka Clay is 6th. What an epic race here on the shores of Zandvoort. It was absolutely sensational, and Jarno Otmir once again takes the victory, pole position, race victory, but boy oh boy, it was not that simple. The Dutchman does it. He's on the top step of the podium for his 5th win in a row. What a victory, what a performance. He's done it again, and at the minute there is just no stopping him, Dan.
Yeah, how polarizing is this race to some of his other performances in PSGL? You know, you think to Saudi Arabia, where he just dominated, almost had a Grand Chelem, if I'm not mistaken, but he really had to fight this one, and that is where you go from being a time trial specialist to being a real racer, and Jarno Otmir has all those characteristics. He wins in his home Grand Prix ahead of Alvaro Caraton and Thomas Ronhar. Both of those guys putting up a tremendous effort to take the fight to him throughout this race, but they were just shy of the win. Fantastic from Jarno Otmir. Joni Tormela finishes in 4th, Barry Boormand in 5th, Shanaka Clay in 6th, Jake Benham, what a race it could have been for him, going awry unfortunately in 7th, Daniel Haddad in 8th, 9th for Yomulo, Pedreño overtook Saipos on the last lap to take up 10th. And the rest of the grid is as follows: Saipos, Welch, Presneda, De Capua, Berejne, then your DNFs are Jack West, Fabrizio Donoso, Carter Lundy, Will Lewis, and Timon Shooter. But what a race that was, Andy, and I think that's a contender for the race of the season.
You're absolutely right, Dan. Absolutely loved every single moment of that. Did not know where to look. Were the drivers and the soft runners coming through? Were they the danger? Was it the drivers who pitted that little bit later onto the medium tyre? Were they the danger? No. Quite simple. This was a race that was not about tyre life, it was about track position throughout. Otmir knew it, Caraton knew it, the experience showed, and in the end, those two fought it out for the victory. Despite having 30 lap-old tyres, they fought it out, and Otmir, it's all up there. He is so clever, and once again he delivers. Some nights, it's all about dominance, perfection, like it was in Saudi Arabia, and sometimes it's just all about strategy, how you play it when the field is that close, and tonight he's done it again. What a win for him. 5 in a row. How many more can he win in a row, Dan? At the minute, he's just crushing, demolishing the opposition, just picking the ball up and smashing them out the park. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's really come alive at this point in the season, midway through, and I can already see he's in the waiting room. I'm just going to check the archives at the minute for the standings, just to check if this is his best ever, streak of wins. I believe that is the case. He had 3 in a row in season 28, but this is the only time he's had 5. So Jarno Otmir, this is the best he's ever been in PSGL, and I think he's really he's in some mad kind of form at the minute that he's almost untouchable and completely invincible. But of course we saw drivers fighting with him today, so he's not completely unbeatable, but under pressure he just shows no sign of wavering.
Yeah, it's just incredible the form he's in at the minute, and I think everyone in the chat wants to hear what Jarno Otmir has got to say. So let's get him in here and see what he's got to say. As you say, Dan, makes a record 5 victories in a row for Jarno Otmir. He joins us now. Wow, Jarno, another victory tonight. There's been a bit of variation in some of these wins recently. Congratulations, home soil victory, 5th win in a row. But some of the races, like Saudi, a little bit easier. You took off into the distance, and some of the races, it's fighting hard with 10 or 11 drivers, and in the end, the experience told. Track position was the key, and you come home with a victory. You must be delighted. 5 on the spin.
I mean, Jeddah was a bit easier, a bit more relaxed, but yeah, winning in a way like this, overtaking the last lap is really satisfying as well, of course. So even more because the pressure is on you, and then you finally get the win. So yeah, it was a tough race. Had to manage those mediums after the VSC for quite a while. Luckily, I had Alvaro behind me, who was on the exact same strat as me, which made it a little bit easier. But still, making it to the end on these mediums was pretty tight. There was 70% in the end, so closing in on the puncture range. And yeah, was good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually what the percentage was. So 70%. So what would you say is when you start to get worried about the puncture? Is it higher? I thought it's usually 70, or is it a wee bit higher on this game? What?
Yeah, I think it's 75 or 80, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But yeah, still pretty close for comfort. That's 70%. So yeah, that's just perfect. So
just on that then, just for us commentators and for just general viewers watching, if you didn't nurse them and you just pushed at a steady pace throughout, how much percentage could you have added to your tyre there? Like, if you just pushed throughout that, Jarno, what would you be at the end of the race? Would you be at 80, 85%? What would you be at?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You naturally have to nurse the tires a little bit around here anyway because of the temperature. They tend to overheat really easily. So yeah, probably pushing for those 30 laps flat out on the limit of the temperature probably would have added around 10%. It's hard to say exactly, but it definitely would have been a lot more tricky if I had done that.
And what about the early decision to pit? We were keeping an eye on it as you came in at the VSC. You left it very late. Tactical, was it? Or were you still playing in your mind about whether I want to pit here or not? What was behind that? Or was that just a dummy attempt to try and catch a few out?
Yeah, it was a bit of a dummy attempt, but also I was just making up my mind. And then, 2 seconds before I actually made the move, I made up my mind. So still had to make a really quick decision, of course, because the VSC, I think, came out in the last sector. And couldn't really make my mind up beforehand, because couldn't see if there was a full safety car VSC. It always takes a while before you see this. So yeah, that made it a bit more tough, but in the end, luckily chose the right way to go, because yeah, other people didn't pit and then came out in a lot of traffic, which is very, very tough around here. I was stuck in traffic myself, in F1 esports around here, and it's just incredibly tough to overtake even one car, let alone another 4 or 5.
So would you say that your experience of what happened in F1 esports was perhaps the reason that made you go for that strategy, that just past experience?
Yeah, because I knew otherwise I would have to overtake 4 or 5 people. There are always around 4 or 5 people that make that tricky call. So yeah, that 4 or 5 people would have been really, really tough. Maybe I would have made it because then I would have been able to work together with Ronar maybe, but it's always hard to say afterwards. So
yeah, so I mean, you touched on it briefly earlier. You were lucky that Caraton took the same strategy. Like, how important do you think that was to your victory? Do you think that was absolutely key? If Ronhar was behind you, and obviously he had 3 or 4 lap pressure tires, would that have made it a bit more difficult? Was it just a little bit fortunate that it almost made it a 2-way fight between you and Caraton?
yeah, once Ronnar pitted, I felt like that was pretty early. So I think at that point I was around 1.4 ahead of Alvaro. And I had Hungary in the back of my mind as well, where Beresne, he
Of course, yeah.
was a bit of a cushion for me. And I tried to do the same here, so I didn't push as hard on the tires and just let Alvaro get back into the DRS. And that way I didn't have Ronhard directly behind me on 3-lap fresher tires.
There was a lot of soft runners trying to come through later on in the Grand Prix. I know Jake Benham left it really late on his softs to go to mediums, and we initially thought he'd be the threat. Then the soft drivers started to come through, the likes of Haddad, the likes of Shinaka Clay. Was that ever anything that was on your mind that would concern you, or just from your previous experience in esports, did you think, nah, 6-7 cars they might have to pass, this is going to be a 2-way fight?
Yeah, I mean, the tire difference is of course a lot bigger than in F1 esports, so I really thought that at some point it was going to be between me, Alvaro, and the alternate strategy runners, likes of Shinaka Clay, who wasn't even that far behind coming out of the pits, but then once again, it's so tough to overtake, even though you're on like 20-lap fresher softs. It's just so incredibly tough to overtake around here. It's like Monaco with the walls a bit further away, so yeah.
Well, congratulations on that victory, incredible. Dan, any questions? I know you've been digging through the stats and found out one for us, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. First off, once again, really well done for this win today. But with that 5th win in a row, this is your longest ever streak in PSGL. So, you really are on some different level. But next week, we're headed to Brazil. Is it going to be 6 wins in a row there? How are you feeling about that circuit?
Yeah, this is my best circuit. I feel like I'm a lot better around a lot of the other circuits. But once again, I think I qualified around 4th in F1 esports. So you can fight from there in league racing a lot easier than in F1 esports. So yeah, that's definitely going to be an exciting one. Not going to be easy. With a lot of good drivers around Brazil. Usually Barry is very fast around there. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. So.
Yeah, I mean, wishing the best for you there. Of course, I think we've held you long enough, so I think we'll let you get away and enjoy your victory. But once again, really well done, and make sure you enjoy that victory, I'd say.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you later. Well, congratulations to Jarno Opmeer then. Makes it an incredible 5 wins in a row. How many more can he win in a row, Dan? I mean, what do you think at the minute? I mean, it's incredible the form he's in. How many more can he win in a row? It can the season. At the minute, I wouldn't put it past him. I
really wouldn't either. Honestly, unless he misses a race, I could see him winning every single Grand Prix. And, of course, we love to see Jarno Opmeer doing well, and we wouldn't wish him to do worse off. But, there's got to be some point where someone can challenge him. He's not a robot. He's not programmed to do this.
Are you sure?
We're going to have to check him. Maybe we'll have to check the Google folder. I'm only joking. He's a 3-time PSGL champion and a 2-time esports champion. He's not that because of some cheats that would have been found out ages ago. So I'd imagine that he is going to be continuing on his tear for quite some time in this season.
And what do you think the likes of Lucas Blakely and Freddie Rasmussen are thinking? I'm sure they tune in now and then and keep an eye on things. Obviously, they're not really participating as often this year. What do you think they're thinking looking here? Because obviously they were big threats to Jarno Opmeer in F1 esports, but the way he's performing at the minute in PSGL, it's quite incredible. I mean, he's putting a big statement down to his rivals that he's going for 3 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it is really. I think they'd be a little bit nervous given how strong he is. But of course, league racing is a far different ball game to what F1 esports is. You know, they're all going to be putting in the practice. They'll be communicating with each other. So, you know, I wouldn't take these results as this is what's going to happen in esports. But certainly they're going to be looking at this and going, oh, Jarno's looking, he's looking pretty quick here. So maybe I need to up my game. And of course, everyone just, they want to improve. They want to beat each other. And they're all going to get progressively better. And hopefully towards next season of PSGL, well, we might have those guys back on the grid. Then it is going to be a beautiful title fight.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be absolutely epic. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Before we go, I'm just going to remind you of their rival league. Join our grid here at PSGL. Join at premiersimgl.com/grid rival. Grid rival. It's an app that hosts motorsport fantasy leagues, and we've got one at that link, premiersimgl.com/grid rival, and we're doing an F1 2022 league, and yeah, be sure to join that. There's a cash prize winner for the person that comes away with the most points, so be sure to check that one out, join in, get involved, and yeah, start selecting your drivers. If it was me, I'd be looking for the Ferrari guys and maybe Max Verstappen. They've started the season pretty strong, or maybe even Kevin Magnussen. He's done well, and I'm sure he'll be a slightly more valuable option, a bit cheaper. He's looking very strong in his return for Haas. But yeah, that's all from us tonight. It's been a crack. I really enjoyed it tonight, Dan. I'm sure you have too. It's been absolutely epic. If you've liked what you've seen, folks, be sure to join us every Wednesday night. It's been great fun tonight. All the action is here, as always, 7 p.m. UK time on a Wednesday night for the remainder of the season. We've got, 6 rounds left? It's really hotting up towards the end of the season. Can anyone stop Jarno Opmeer? That's 5 wins in a row. It's going to take some beating. That's all from us. Good night.